Good evening, everyone. Welcome to FGM eCast presents the Australian Endurance E-Championship. I'm Stuart Brown. I am joined by my main man, Scotty. How are you, mate?
Yeah, absolutely splendiferous.
Splendiferous.
To be honest with you.
It. That's a word, isn't it? Surely.
Yeah, it's absolutely is.
Scrumdiddlyumptious. That's another one. That's from
Yeah,
another
something
movie.
along that.
It's not
Spoonful of sugar makes the medicine go down.
It's not movie time yet, though, is it? So we can't talk
Not
about
quite
that stuff yet. Welcome, everyone. Final round of Season 2 of the Australian Endurance E-Championship. We're here at the Green Hell, and for those of you that don't know, that means we're at the Nürburgring. Tonight we are running the 24-hour track layout, and it means it's going to be a pretty short race lap-wise, but we are here for 2 hours of endurance racing with the mixture of GTE and GT3 cars. The final of Season 2. I can't believe we're already here. At the end of this, we started this series in April or so of this year, and we've had 2 cracking seasons. Down to the wire again tonight here with the Team Championship undecided, with the overall championship undecided. So our highest point scorer, there's 4 points between our 2 championship contenders, Braden Nash and Chris Purnell. Interestingly enough, obviously running the GTE for Braden Nash and GT3, so intra-class battles here tonight as well to be decided.
Yeah, look, and I mean, you know, you can talk about all these battles and point standings and all those sorts of things, but being at the location that we're at tonight, I don't think any of these drivers can take their mind off the challenge that is laid out before them. I mean, well, we've always talked about in terms of AEE, quite close to Jordan Malcolm, and I know that he dreads this track and he dreads Bathurst. It's a long challenge, and you can't lose focus, you can't lose control for any minute of the 8 minutes of the lap, and you've got to do that consistently for 2 hours here tonight. Like, the Nordschleife and what it represents within racing, let alone endurance racing, is something to behold, and it's why it's such a treasure on the endurance calendar of any series.
And I think what we're going to see here tonight is as well a number of our drivers probably choosing not to qualify. And the reason that I say that is simply because I'm not sure that it's a good thing to be involved in a battle pack. It's a 2-hour race. It's a really, really long lap, as you say, 8 minutes. And, we can certainly both speak from experience racing at this track that there's always carnage on the opening lap, particularly with this track layout as well, cold tyres through the GP part of the circuit. We're on a cooling track. This is a nighttime race, so we will finish in the dark. And really, there's a lot of sense in maybe not necessarily trying to get right up to the front of the pack.
Yes and no. If you're looking for a clean race, and that's your main target, and I know for a fact that some of the Redback Racing team drivers in Spitty and Seb Murray Wesberg, they're both, that's their main priority tonight, is just keep things clean, and the result will automatically come out of that. That's their focus. But at the same time, if I'm in their shoes and the nature of this circuit, I want to be around cars that are similar pace, not necessarily because I'm looking to fight them, but because I don't want to be I don't want to have cars that are off pace in front of me. That's my main concern, because if somebody's braking and a lot of the lap, you're trying to set yourself up, you're trying to chain multiple sets of corners. There's always another corner follows another corner. There's no real breath until you get to the dot in Johor. So I don't want to be around other cars that are braking at different spots and constantly having to worry about what they're trying to do mixed in with how I'm trying to set myself up. It's just, the lap itself is enough of a mental challenge that I don't want to go adding additional complexities into that. Now, with that, what I would recommend is these guys, put down your qualifying lap, but then immediately just forget all about qualifying, forget about the other cars that are around you, settle in and focus on the one most important fight, which is you versus track, and I believe that's Ron Polito on screen that just lost that battle.
Yeah, it was, and just as you said that, unfortunately, I did switch across to Braden Nash. We are in qualifying at the moment, and he's putting in some purple sectors. We've got Lockie Brown joining us tonight for the first time in the AEE season. Probably, hopefully, getting prepped to join us full time for next season. But he has done a 7:54.58, a whopping 4 seconds ahead of Braden's first effort. Now, half an hour qualifying time here, 8-minute laps means the drivers really are only going to get 3 good cracks at this to put together a solid lap. So Braden got about 4 seconds to make up there, but a lot of purple in his current lap.
And right now for him, what he needs to be looking at, and look, it's only really the first sort of sector where he's down. So for him, what he needs to be doing now is going, all right, I've made the margin. I'm ahead. Let's back that pace down a little. Yeah, there goes the lap. There goes the lap. Because he's just pushing too hard. He's looking for every little bit. I'd say he's gotten off track there. I would say, but I also agree with not abandoning the lap. Just sort of...
You just
See what I mean?
You just don't know.
Driver versus car versus track. That is the battle that we're going to focus on tonight. Pace, relative pace, because you're going to have strong sections of the track. And unlike during a normal lap where it's going to tend to be, I'm strong in sector 1, you're strong in sector 2, I'm strong in sector 3 and 4, lap over. It's, I'm strong in sector 1, you're strong in sector 2, I'm strong in sector 3, 4, 5, you're strong in sectors 6, 7, 8, 9. You've got to, you can't set up a move on somebody as easily at the Nürburgring because you're not coming around 2 sections of the track as often. So information that is relevant to passing the car that's ahead of you, you have to build 8 minutes in advance. It's a long, long way. And somebody else I've been chatting to prior to the race, who's been hitting me up about pronunciation, is Matty Bowler.
Yeah, Matty Bowler. No, we do know that one. But he's just jumped on screen because he's left it really late here. He's literally going to do this one lap, and that'll be it. So he's trying to snatch the pole position at the end as we jump back here with Braden Nash. He could snatch pole position. Lockie Brown's put the cue in the rack after just one lap. So we'll stick on board here with Braden Nash as he comes through. What is this, sector 12 or sector 13 of this monstrous track? Basically, he's coming up to the second bowl as such, and then he'll be off onto the really long back straight. And I can't help but point out as well that at the moment as it sits, we've got BMW, Porsche, and then Audi, Ferrari, Audi, Mercedes. So a number of the GTE drivers coming up to qualify, but also a good mixture here between the strengths of the BMW and the strengths of the Porsche.
And look, it's... Look, yeah, we can say all we want about pace, but ultimately this is an endurance series, and consistency is always going to be far more relevant. And there is not a time that consistency is more relevant than the Nürburgring. If you make a mistake and the car does need repairs, look, we all have them. A lot of my endurance endeavors have gone awry very, very early on in the piece, and then we've settled in, and made something of it. But in terms of things, you can't make that mistake. To be perfectly honest with you, if I'm in these drivers' shoes, I have to sort of abandon any hope of pushing until after the halfway mark, just because of the risk factor it presents. It's something like a 20-minute tow around here, out at the back sections of the lap.
I think you're right.
So it's it's risk versus reward. The risk around the Nürburgring is just so high. I'm sure Braden Nash that lap got overwritten.
Track. Yeah, he did.
So
he got an off track there because he was well and truly up, but just with the 7:58 there. So just jumping on board here with the Audi of Chris Purnell. And right behind him, Brett Douglas. We've got Michael Spithill currently wedged in between them with an 8:18. So around about 20 seconds a lap difference between the GTEs and the GT3s. And a lot of that is in the straights. Thanks for the like there, Reese. Really appreciate it. A lot of that's in top speed, acceleration out of the corners, that sort of thing. 20 seconds around here, not really a massive difference. It sounds like a lot, but it's such a long lap that it's not really as big as you may think. So there'll be...
Well,
close battles, I reckon. In a lot of this, there'll be some GT3 drivers who will finish above GTE drivers who will lose places to GT3 drivers here, because it's just not going to make that much difference through the windy sections.
Okay, so I was actually going to ask about what the time period is for how long they have to complete their lap. We've got 11 minutes on the board before qualifying. So anyone that's on a lap right now, because the checkered flag is in the air, is allowed to complete their lap, right? That's it. After those laps are done, that's it. So we've got 11 minutes to get those laps in. So, if you're on a lap right now and you're thinking, oh, do I bother? What do I do with this lap? Do I continue? Do I push on? What's the thought process there? Well, if you're on a lap and you don't have a banker in the system and you're already up by 1.5 miles, well, just cruise. Just cruise. Get that lap into the system. We're already talking about just being on pace. Being 1 car, 2 cars further back from where, potentially your grid place is, not a bad thing, because ultimately it's cars in the rearview mirror that you don't have to worry about. If anyone has an accident on the first lap, it's like Bathurst. When I'm looking for spotters and endurance races at Bathurst, they're watching 5 seconds up the road from where I am. Anything less than that, I'm going to be buried in it before they can warn me about it. Same thing is going to apply here. Because the track is so tight, so twisty, and so blind for so much of the lap, there's just not going to be the ability to rectify any issues or spot issues and avoid them in enough time. So for me, and that's largely why I think, putting down a qualifying lap is so important at the more difficult tracks. It's because it gets you out of the chaos.
Just seeing here as well on the timing screen, you spot on, is that Chris Purnell and Brett Douglas both putting in green sectors. Matty Bowler with a couple of green sectors as well. So he is running against, as we see a big lose there for Matty. So he is not going to get that banker lap in that you spoke of. So he's going to be starting from towards the rear of the the GTE field. So really now, just waiting for Purnell, Douglas and Trahair to conclude their laps. Looks like Trahair has finished his, or is just about to finish his. Coming into the braking section at the end of the back straight. He is going to go through and complete that lap. He will probably move up. A couple of purple sectors there, plenty of green, so he should move up the order a little. It's about 5 seconds off.
That's a bent Audi though.
It is a bent Audi. He's about 5 seconds off Sebastian Murray Westberg, who did an 8:22. And I'd say he equally has had an off-track as well, Trahair, with that lap not counting.
That's fine. Like I said, 9 minutes on the session time now. So as soon as your lap's done, park it, get in the pits. Park it, get in the pits. Get up. Walk away from the screen. Make sure you do walk away, walk around. What you want to be doing right now is it's going to be a huge mental challenge. You've already gone through half an hour of the mental challenge. Another half an hour of practice before that as well. So your mind is already busy. We're at the end, of a Thursday. So this isn't an easy section of the week, especially Victorians. You've got a lot on your plate at this point in time, with pretty much the whole country with both the election, COVID restrictions, the whole shebang. So right now you want to minimize mental fatigue as much as possible, as early as possible. Because if you can just take that break now and reset yourself, 9 minutes, if I'm these guys, I'm going to have a cold shower. Cold showers are very, very good for drawing your concentration back. So that's what I'd be doing if I were in any of these guys' shoes. Obviously Brett Douglas and Luke Trahair. Trahair's still out in the track, so he's just using. He wants more practice, which is that's the other way to go.
Time to familiarise himself. Cold
Not a bad idea.
Are a meme, so I believe Reese Grant drops into the chat and lets us know. Meditate 10 times better. Yeah, a bit of meditation always helps. I find the old closed-eyed, no noise, slow breathing, or breathing is the best way to go.
You're always on Spotify too, Stuart. Sometimes that's what you need as well.
In fact, when I'm racing, if I'm not in a room with other teammates, then I will most certainly have music on in the background. So, yeah, thanks again, Race. I know my stereo or my sound's a bit light on at the moment. We were doing some review of some footage today, and the mic is going in the bin at the end of the season. I'm going to get another one. Might notice that We've got a little bit better sound for Scotty now because he's got himself a new headset. So, yeah, that's one of the changes we're going to make in the off-season to improve the stream, because I'm very much in and out, which is disappointing because this mic is not that old, but it is a cheapie. So, you know, you got to do what you got to do.
Oh, what have you got over there? Like, you now got me curious.
I've just got a little Rode, one of the little Rode gun mics, but it's really good for what we do for work. But for commentating, as soon as I literally move my mouth away from it, even an inch, it just drops the sound terribly. So I'll get that fixed up over the off season. It's all I could get together when COVID hit. Obviously, everybody bought everything, so there wasn't a lot left, and I'll just deal with it until we get into it again next season.
I love talking about them. Like I've been playing around with trying to get my Blue Yeti set up in the best possible manner. Like, a few of the guys would have remembered me from the first couple of broadcasts I did, would have heard me on the different mics, and it's a pain to get the Blue Yeti out and set up all the time. So I ended up just switching back to my headset mic, which was easier. Just upgraded to a Sennheiser headset, wireless. I love wireless headsets. Big on wireless headsets. Just a freedom, because I'm the kind of guy that constantly gets up from his computer with his headset plugged in and pulls the computer with him. So.
Yeah, I must admit, I'm a big fan of using the boom mic and having the speakers, having the headset with just the driver's chat in it. And I swiveled a chair around and snapped my old headset, which was a Razer headset, out of the computer, which was just awesome because it was a fantastic headset, really comfortable, really good sound out of it and all that sort of stuff. And then I ended up moving away from it for some stupid reason, went and bought a different one, which I'm really not happy with. It doesn't connect well enough. The mic on it's annoying. It's got beeping sounds in your ears when it's running on battery. And anyway, so it's just going to go and sit on a shelf somewhere until I find another one. But I
100%.
prefer just having the freedom of the mic in front of me, being able to move it out of the way. And
actually, I tell you what you're seeing on screen is sorry to pull you back to things, Stuart, but Douglas is flying at the moment. In the last few sectors, he's up by half a second. So the last 3 sectors in a row, he's half a second faster than Spithill. So this could be a pole lap. This could be a second place lap. Both are relevant here, and the difference between, I believe, Spithill and Purnell was 4 seconds, and Douglas was only half a second slower than Spithill. So provided this is a clean lap, this is P2, it's whether or not it can be P1.
Yeah, and I can tell you, knowing Brett, he would love nothing more than to probably jump into their team chat and go back to Chris and say, "Ha, who's number one, mate?" And it'll be on. Those two will race. Even though they're teammates, they will race in this to see who's better, because they both love this track. It's probably, I think they told me, it's one of their favourites, or if not their favourite track to race at. So they will be racing for line honours between themselves. And as you said there, Brett Douglas just moving up into second place with an 18:16:23. So 2 seconds basically adrift of Purnell and 2 seconds adrift of Michael Spithill behind him. So that brings qualifying to an end. We're just waiting for the timing clock to tick over there. And that will be it, in fact.
Can we get through the entire grid before we get to the end of the grid this time?
We actually can.
That way
I just need to bring it up on screen, so we need to wait for that to happen. We need to wait for the session to end before I can bring it up on screen.
Because the Dodge-Her is far enough back as well. Could you imagine doing an entire warm-up lap? That would be painful. Because I think the Skip Barbers are here in official sessions again this week. That was probably one of my favourite races from season 3 of 2020. iRacing season 3 was this official Skip Barbers at I believe it was the Nordschleife, which is the long layout and doesn't include any of the GP circuit. Was one of my favourites.
So the disappointing thing is I've logged in accidentally tonight in the rush of getting into the sim as a driver, and I can't even advance the last 3 minutes of qualifying because it says it's already finished.
Are you kidding?
No, so there's no benefit at all tonight out of any of that. But that's good. We're going to get into it anyway. Obviously, the big challenge tonight is between Braden Nash and Chris Purnell to take out the number 1 on the door. Of course, Chris Purnell, actually the defending champion of this series, electing not to run the 1, running the 920 again. and he was defending that ride again for next season, next year. So there's that challenge to play out. We've got the 981 Motorsport Team Carbon, or VMM Team Carbon team between Purnell and Trahair playing off as well against Nash and Bowler as well. So there's that to consider tonight. So there's lots of stuff to look out for in terms of the challenges between the drivers. Lock Spiders just jumped in and made mention of the 24-hour race in December. Brett Douglas actually is racing in that race as well, so we're fully aware that's a really, really tough race, high-level racing. Looking forward to seeing how that goes.
That's like the 5th of December or something in the qualifying race, or it's like a mini warm-up race, 6 hours for it's in the next few weeks. It's like a league race or something, isn't it? Yeah,
it's top level, like fully serious, like no mucking around style.
You have to do the qualifying. At least 2 drivers of your team have to do the qualifying race. Yeah, and then if you're not valid, then they boot you out, and they have backup teams. I think they're up to like 15 backup teams at this point too.
It wouldn't surprise me. So I'll let you take everyone through the grid. Of course, I have not qualified in 9th position, so do ignore that. I've just got to quickly run, and I'll be back in 1 sec.
No, I'm not ignoring it.
Okay, go for
it. To put it bluntly, no, I'm not ignoring it. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the final round of the Australian Endurance E-Championships at the Nürburgring, qualifying on pole in your GTE class for the final time this season. The final time this year is Lockie Brown. Off alongside him will be Braden Nash, the ever quick and ever reliable Braden Nash. Jeff W. Thomas off the second row of the grid alongside Ron Polito, which I believe this is Ron's highest qualifying result so far this season, in 4th place. Well done to him. Matthew Bowler a long way back in P5, and that's disappointing for me looking at him. He needs to lift his game a little bit at the start of this race, all down to not setting a qualifying lap. Timothy Russell alongside of him on that 3rd row of the grid. Matty Broom and Martin Lofthouse off your 4th row of the grid, followed by not Stuart Brown and Rez Polito. Phil Polito is off the 6th row of the grid, and that rounds out your GTE field. Talking GT3, the man, the myth, the legend, Chris Purnell has claimed pole honours for the final time in GT3 this season. Off the row immediately behind him will be Brett Douglas and Michael Spithill, with Brett Douglas putting in a 8:16 on that very last lap of the session after the time had expired. Well done by him. Spitty in 3rd for the GT3, Sebastian Murray Wesberg, Luke Trahair off the next row of the grid, Jordan Malcolm and Braden O'Loughlin starting from pit lane, Phil Polito also opting to start from pit lane.
Absolutely, and thank you for running us through the grid. Not quite the warm-up lap that Lock Spider mentioned. You know what, that's going to be nuts, doing a full warm-up lap around Nürburgring. As you say, about a 25-minute warm-up lap, but also how many drivers are going to stack? It's going to happen. There'll be drivers stack on the warm-up lap for sure.
I mean, if I'm in their shoes though, like I'm not pushing myself throughout that warm-up lap. I'm just cruising. You have to, because it's a warm-up lap. Like the warm-up lap in itself is going to be a challenge.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like anyway, I guess we'll see what happens of it. So Lockie Brown off pole position here. Welcome to the series for tonight. Just getting word that Phil Polito has had to pull out because the VR he's in VR and it's not agreeing with him. So we'll have to bear that in mind. I also we just need to have a look here. The championship implications of Lockie Brown running 2 need to be considered in this equation. So we'll have a look at that as the night goes on as well.
But most importantly, ladies and gentlemen, your GTE field to start us off for the final time this season. They'll be going green momentarily. Green flag in the air. Lockie Brown to lead us away. Nash dives across him underneath him. That is going to put Jeff Thomas was right up the rear end of that Porsche so quickly. So I think there'll be words on about that one. If I'm in Thomas's shoes, I'm very unhappy with how aggressively Nash cut across. But they seem to get through corner number 1 nice and cleanly. The GT3 field will be off momentarily as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So we'll jump back and have a look at that start as well. And they're off and running, and I can tell you this is what we've been wanting to see all series. It's a VMM 981 Motorsport pairing facing off against a Redback race team pairing as well. And look at that, that's exactly what we want to see. A good mix of the two there. Two Audis, a Ferrari, and the Mercedes of Sebastian Murray-Westberg. And these guys will no doubt fight it out for pretty much most of the night, I reckon.
Yep, that'll be it. And it's look, I mean, the lap times were 2 seconds different first to second, second to third, you know, right throughout the night. But don't let that take anything away from it. It'll be totally different compared to that.
So we're just going through, still on the, obviously the very early part of this lap, an 8-minute lap or so to be expected on the first time around, probably about an 8:50 or so, I think. But yeah, early on, just about to enter into the original part of the Nürburgring in setting sun. So the race will finish in the darkness, which will be a twist. Of course, as always, we've got that last 30 minutes in this series. The last 30 minutes is always in every race, generally the most interesting. So if you do go away, do pop back to watch the last 30 minutes. That's where all the action tends to happen, and things tend to take a twist as the drivers get tired after, you know, the hour 30 of intense competition. And there's certainly going to be plenty of it here. You can see already between Brown and Nash, the gap only a second. It sounds like a lot, but early on it is not. So let's keep an eye on what goes on. Timothy Russell already up into third as well in another one of the Redback race team cars, which is the only GTE they have running. But Tim's been very competitive this season as well. Didn't start the full year, but featuring well. I think he might be 5th in the points tally at the moment, so a really strong performance.
Yeah, look, and I mean, you know, doing really, really well, settling in behind there. I mean, the gap's already blown out to 2 seconds, but again, don't read too much into that. It's not important in terms of things. It's important we just start this discussion early. We have it nearly every week, but fuel is so important tonight. I was talking to quite a few of the drivers from multiple different teams, and the limiting factor, it seems, this is coming from most people, is that fuel is gonna be the difference tonight.
In what margins are we talking? So, are we going to get to an hour, or are we miles away without fuel saving? Where are we at with that?
We're miles away. GT3 cars are going to have to do 2 stops. They were playing with the numbers. They were looking at it, and there's just no way they can get there. No way in hell that they can get home. So it's a 2-stop for sure. Okay. Unless if they get lapped, then there's a shot. But they have to get lapped.
Because that'll save them 8 minutes, you're saying? Well, maybe.
Well, the problem was that they can get to they're planning for 16 laps. Somebody's off in the background. I think that might have been Sebastian Murray-Westberg, and it was dropping down the order there.
Yeah,
is that a tow?
Yeah, he has ejected. So he's back in pit lane at the moment. That is a shame. Just looking forward to seeing the battle between the 4 of these guys throughout the evening, so that is a pity. We're on board on the front of Michael Spittler's car.
Fuel number-wise, it's going to be 7 laps they can get to in the GT3 cars. Now, GTEs should be about the same, but maybe slightly less. So,
Lockie Brown's still out in front in the GTEs. Yeah, I was trying to remember back. I feel like we did about 45 minutes in the GTEs when we ran the 12-hour here. Before we had to pit, so you weren't getting to an hour stint at all.
And fuel saving, you're still short. It's nigh impossible.
Yeah, 25 minutes is huge, particularly here. You know, it's an undulating track, lots of slow corners as well. You can't. There's not tons of places to just cruise. You can't even do it down the straight because the back straight's uphill. So yeah, it's not a place where you can easily save fuel and not lose a lot of lap time.
Yeah, so multiple things to consider tonight. How aggressively you want to try and hit your fuel numbers. well, debatable, but hey, we'll see. You know, is that even reasonably a goal to try and hit your fuel numbers? Are you just going to drive like a back out of hell, or are you going to back up your pace and just see what happens? You know, play it safe, keep the car pointed straight. We talked about that in the pre-show. You know, I definitely feel like that's the go-to tonight. Not necessarily from every point of view, but from enough points of view, you need to just sort of back off, back up, and just keep the car straight as your first goal, and then see what happens.
Just getting messages here from Phil, just saying, Phil Polito, just saying he was a little bit, he's been under the weather and trying to do this in the VR was just not a great idea, so he is going to be spectating and obviously cheering on his brother Ron in this final run.
Yeah, fair enough. Maybe you can get back in and not just cheer him on, but maybe spot for him as well. Spotting around here is so crucial. Just having somebody else to give you a little bit of access information's, you know, very important.
And also just a couple of other drivers that are missing tonight. We've had Reece Ashmore. He's off looking after his partner, so wish him and her all the best. And same as well with old Mr. Sweeney. He's off doing a similar thing as well. So hi to them. Frank Kodak messaged me too. He's done his back, so he actually can't get into his sim rig at the moment. Said to him it sounded bad. He said it's old age, but all the same. Hi to Frank, who generally joins us on the AusPro-M sim series as well. So a big hello to him. And of course Reese Grant as well, dropping into the chat, just telling us his knee is stuffed. So basically a bunch of old crocs running the
don't
sim
worry
tonight.
That'll be me Monday morning. Cricket season for us on the Central Coast starts this weekend, and I'm a wicket keeper and opening batsman, and I'm the kind of guy that bats for 3 hours. So.
Oh, you're a corpse with pads, are you?
Yeah, basically. So, and I'm squatting all day on Saturday afternoon.
Yeah, no, I hear you. I'm a wicket keeper when I play cricket as well. So I hear the bad knees thing on the
it's not knees,
day.
Thighs are my problem.
No, I soccer for a long time.
Okay.
Now,
yep.
37. So I've played soccer for 32 years, and my knees know that I've been playing soccer for that long. And
goalkeeper there as well?
No, not at all. No, I'm a striker in soccer, but playing cricket and wicket keeping, I love it. But my knees don't.
Oh, me too.
My knees don't, so it's no good. But anyway, that's good. And that's probably the first time ever you'll see Brown coming last and first. I just wanted to point that out as it came across the ticker on the top there. I do get called Brown from time to time at work, and that's just because when I was racing in one of the other series, the commentator kept calling me Brown.
Brown.
So there you go.
There's a guy that races in NIS, which for those uninitiated is NASCAR iRacing Series, by the name of Joseph. And I spot for a few of the guys up and around. One of the guys has 3 accounts. One of them at like 2,500. One of them at 3,500. The other one's at 5,000 iRating. And we've just resorted to calling him Joseph Squared because his name's Joseph. So.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. So, Reece Grant just asking there in the chat where Michael Spithill is. He's about a second behind at the moment. And
I was gonna ask, like, where's Spithill? Oh, is he gone off and we just didn't notice it?
No, the gap's just pushed out to about a second as we've gone through our first lap. And thanks very much for joining us, Tyrone, as well. Hopefully we'll see you out here next season. But yeah, no, Michael's just a second down. He's obviously, as we spoke about in the pre-game, he's there's just slight ups and downs in the sectors, and it just adds up over an entire 8-minute lap to a second. That's not a lot. It's not a lot of time to make up around here at all. So
maybe slower in that last few. Yeah, I mean, could theoretically be. Something else to consider when that was actually coming into the fuel argument as well is you lose a lot of time around the lap to fuel save, and it's almost made up in the pit stop. Like it's just not worth it to try and fuel save and eke out that extra lap. I mean, I'm predicting potentially. We were talking about it. Yeah, there's Seb. That's not a.
No, I
like the rims, Seb.
I wasn't, and we'll jump straight back off him again. It wasn't deliberate. I was just looking at it because he must still be, literally, he must still be getting towed.
Yeah, absolutely.
I thought
absolutely.
maybe he might have jumped out, and then I'm like, he won't jump out because every point counts tonight. It's 10 minutes so far that he's been in pit lane, so we must have been right. We said the tow here was about 20 minutes. It happened early on in the lap for him. It happened just into sector 7, so. Yeah, really.
Get your bets in. Get your bets in. How long's the tow?
Really
we expecting him 15 minutes?
No,
16 minutes?
Seb's been a keen competitor for the last 2 seasons, so it's disappointing that he's in pit lane this early in the race because I legitimately wanted to see the 2 Redbacks and the 2 VMM cars going at it for the night. That would have been a great way for us to finish the series.
I tell you what, though, Spitty has early on in the series, in season number 2 of AEE, had his troubles, but since about the halfway mark, he has become one of the fastest drivers in the field and one of the more consistent drivers, and he just gets so unlucky.
I think that was the second bit was what I was going to say. Is he's just been more consistent, and yeah, he has had his massive amounts of bad luck, as has Murray Wesberg as well. We must say, He's been taken out in a couple of races as he's just leaving pit lane now. So 11.5 minutes the tow there with the fast repair. We do have unlimited fast repairs tonight for the guys, which
Fair
is
enough.
an unusual thing we don't normally do, but we have done it around this track because we're doing it in the darkness and we want everyone to try and finish because it's the last round. But yeah, Seb's had some bad luck as well this season, so not to take anything away from Purnell and the guys that are ahead of them in the championship, but yeah, they've had some bad luck.
Oh, 100%. But I mean, even the one thing that I think you're looking at is that Purnell's made his mistakes. I mean, as racing drivers, it's part and part. Like sport. Anyone who plays sport obviously is going to know it. But the mistakes that have come out of Purnell, he's gotten away with them, shall we say? I think Spa, yep. I'm remembering Spa, he ended up with a damaged car on the very last lap of the race when he was about a lap ahead. There was no way he could lose the lead, That's when things went to the poo for him. So.
Yeah, and he mentioned that in the post-race, you're right. He said he had an off on the last lap at Spa. You're spot on. So was it Spa? No, actually, I think it might have been Sebring.
No, it was Spa. It was Spa.
Okay.
Yeah, because he was also talking about that his tyre wear levels was down below 20%.
He paid for his mistakes at Road Atlanta. Who was that? Reese. Grant just dropped into the chat. He paid for his mistakes at Road Atlanta. Oh yeah, he did too. Yeah, no, he did.
Yep.
So yeah, I mean, it's and last season, talk about consistency. That Ford that they ran, arguably a much harder season for them than this season, in a car that's extraordinarily unpopular, that lacks just about everywhere on the track in comparison to the newer Porsches and M8 BMW. I reckon that was a harder season for them to actually try and pull off than pulling off the win here this season, season 2. So you take into consideration the mistakes and bits and pieces that have happened throughout season 2 for them. They've actually done really well to be in the position they're in as well.
I have to apologise. I'm actually not getting the top ticker.
Oh, aren't you?
So I can't see the ticker, which is really odd because normally it's like a replay versus live logo I get in the top left corner. Well, the replay logo has gone away, which generally means I should be able to see the ticker, but it just does not show.
Okay. Well, in that...
Oh, hang on. No. Okay, never mind.
I was going to say, if we're talking about probably highlights from the season, it's the first time equally we've had a trio, and I've jumped on board with Braden Nash. We've had a trio finish first, second, and third from the same team. Round 1 and round 2, we had the guys Phoenix Window Tinting sponsored Porsches from. It was Braden Nash with. My mind has escaped me. Brock Schaefer.
Bowler was second.
Yep.
Bowler was second, and then the
Brock
team
Schaefer.
orders sort of came into it. Yeah, because they were looking towards the team championship.
Yep.
So
that was another highlight I think so far in season 2 was to have the 3 of them finish first, second, and third. We've had a whole heap of different winners as well. It's been a really good second season.
Yeah, look, both seasons. I mean, you know, when you put something on like this and you learn as you go. But having said that, just the first season there was mistakes there, but everyone was immediately very interested and keen to look at whatever happened and whatever played out and whatever went wrong, what went right, and there was very much the attitude was let's make this better. It wasn't at any stage. It wasn't I hate this. Let's leave. Let's go away. No, nothing of the sort. So.
No, yeah, we're pretty lucky in that respect, and obviously a big thanks goes out to all the drivers who allow us to put the series on, as we've got Timothy Russell here under a little bit of attack from Tomo in the BMW. Again, talking about drivers who've improved, we do have to touch base on Tomo and his run. He's done really well as well this season, and just see the gap there a little bit greater as we come back down onto the front straight to complete lap 2. It is Brown from Nash, from Russell, from Thomas. We've got Ron Polito a little bit further back. But yeah, we've had some really good battles throughout the year. Be good to see a few more BMWs on the track next season. We're also going to introduce the Corvette to our Season 3 next year.
Boy, isn't that going to be a popular addition?
Absolutely, and I mean it's going to take the place of the Ford, which we ran for a second season. We did run for a second season. We were allowing people to try and use it, and we did have, I think, very early on in the season, we did have a couple of drivers try and run the Ferrari, try and run the Ford.
Was that Stephen Bartholomew, or am I thinking of another?
No,
I think I might have been thinking
of
of Season 1
series,
Ozpass.
But we
Yeah.
did have. Who was it? It'll come back to me. We did have a couple of drivers try and run it really early on in the season, but they ended up not continuing with the series and jumping out of that. I think they probably identified how hard a car it was to run, and we don't allow people to change cars during the season, so unfortunately that meant you either run it. I think it was Ash McClurkin actually ran it really early on in the series.
Give me one moment. Oh, okay, never mind. No, I understand what's going on.
So yeah, Ash McClurkin ran it really early on in the series, and there was another couple of drivers that joined him in doing it, but they didn't continue with it. So I think that the Corvette will probably get a really strong reception, and it'll be hopefully a good mix of the Porsche, BMW, and the Corvette next season. Reece Grant just saying that he thinks it's mainly going to be still Porsches and one Corvette. You might be right, but that Corvette's actually really strong. It's really easy to drive, particularly in comparison to the Porsche. So I'll be keen to see how many people take it up and give it a good crack.
Oh, yeah, 100%. If we're talking in terms of what I'm seeing in the lower splits of IMSA at the moment, I'm seeing a pretty even spread. There's been, with the balance of power changes that went on, there's been a lot of people flocking back to the BMW actually, and it's now considered one right up there. I think
so strong.
The Porsche is underrepresented at the moment. Nothing really happened to the Porsche. I think it feels the same. I feel like it's gone nowhere. During the IMSA week at Interlagos, I drove both the Porsche and the Corvette, and I could drive near identical lap times in both of them with the same level of consistency. It was just that the Corvette is easier to drive quickly than the Porsche. You sort of feel lazy when you're driving it, like it's not much of an effort, whereas the Porsche, you're fighting it and you're trying to really muscle the car around all the time. The Corvette just wants to go.
Yeah,
it literally feels good.
I reckon you're right.
So on rails.
We when we went to run the Road Atlanta Petit Le Mans, we tried both cars, the Porsche, which is what we've been campaigning throughout the year in our endurance racing. We just tried it against the Corvette, and I jumped into the Corvette on base setting and went 2 seconds faster, baseline to baseline. So it's an easier car to drive than the Porsche out of the box. Yeah, I mean ultimately we ended up running with the Porsche because that's what we were driving. But it's a very easy car to cruise around in comparison to the Porsche, where you feel like you're racing the whole time. It's kind of like the car that's on screen. The Audi and the GT3s is, in my opinion, the easiest car to drive. It's not the easiest car to get pace out of, but you feel like you're going for a Sunday cruise where you jump into the Merc, you jump into the Beamer, and you're always fighting that really long nose tail happy car that they tend to be. So it's yeah.
See, I
it's
don't
very
find
similar
that
to
with the Beamer. I agree with you in terms of the Merc, but not the Beamer. The Beamer for me feels comparing to the Merc. I actually haven't driven the Audi. I own it, but I've never touched it. And it's probably something that I need to do. In terms of baseline setups, Jordy always said that he wasn't happy with the Audi, and he was very, very twitchy. But I think there's some tweaking there. I feel like it's got a lot of customizability, and in terms of setup and car layout, I think it's the best. Oh, that's not good.
No, I think it's just a solo spin there. No damage done. That's down through, if I'm not wrong, the triple right-handers. Yeah, it is in the lead up to the triple right-handers before you start heading down towards the township. So easy enough to do there, just through that section of the track. So, but looks like no damage at all to that car. Just a rotation on track. It's opened up the lead to Chris Purnell. And Brett Douglas a little bit closer behind Spit Hill now as well.
Tell you what, I'm actually just really getting the opportunity for the first time to take a look at some of the markings around the track. There's so many messages of love and love hearts and peace symbols everywhere. That's awesome.
You need to have all that stuff because you need to try and use it to remember where you are on the track. I mean, the number of things that I know are on this track as brake markers and things like that. You just it's one of those places. I think there's something like 17 segments. 14 sectors on this track.
14.
And,
okay.
And you learn them sector at a time. You just have to, because you've got to find. We found when we were learning how to run the track that otherwise you just end up forgetting where you are, and because they all look the same, because they're all bordered by the silver Armco, you end up just not knowing where you are on the track, and you think you're somewhere else, and you brake or you turn in too late, and you end up stacking the car. So once you master the track, it's a great piece of road.
Oh yeah, 100%. I think one of the biggest things. I'm memory, like feeling, sort of driving. I tend to memorize things by doing them, and if it feels right or it feels wrong. So driving the Nürburgring has been such a... I say that, but I'm also a lot of the time looking at my speedometer directly for a readout, of what speed I'm at. So it depends. It differs on different circuits. That's what I used to do in the old PS4 controller racing days. But
oh, geez, that's a little different to this, I think. Albeit, I'm looking forward to the off-season because I'm keen to give a couple of things a go. I really want to crack the PlayStation out into the sim region and give Gran Turismo a run. Because I've only ever played it on PlayStation on the controller, even with the dual axis, which is a bit of fun, but I really want to give it a go with in the rig. That's going to happen.
I want to give it a crack as well. I don't own the game. It's the difference for me.
Next to iRacing, I think it's probably the best game for racing purists. I mean, a set of Corsa Competizione I haven't given a lot of time to because it really messes with the settings on the rig that I run on iRacing, and iRacing is what we run. So I haven't done a lot on it, and I found it a little bit difficult to get into when I did give it a go, just because I found myself, and I shouldn't be doing it, comparing it to iRacing. Whereas because Gran Turismo...
We're enthusiasts.
Enthusiasts. Because Gran Turismo is on a different platform, it makes it easy not to compare, because it's not a computer game as such. It's a video game in my mind. There's only a slight line between the two, but it is what it is. So I find that, looking forward to doing that, and certainly looking forward to doing a few more races with our team. We're running the 24-hour at Daytona in February, so we're going to start doing some prep for that.
Yeah, that's right. That's coming.
Yeah, and there's 6-hour races and stuff like that, so I'm looking forward to doing some racing with the team because I haven't been able to do much of that of late. As we say that, we get through lap 3. Where are we looking lap-wise here? We're looking for pit stops probably around lap 5 out of the GTEs.
7.
You reckon they'll get to 7?
Well, okay, so here 16. If we're looking at 16 laps, which I think is what we're going to end up doing tonight. My ticker's telling me 14 and a bit. So I reckon we're doing 16 laps. That's what the information that I was getting fed by Seb and Spitty. So based on that information, the strategy, you can split it up in a variety of different ways. Here's the thing. I think with our normal races, they should be 2 hours, 20 minutes or somewhere around there. Just to add that element of, yes, you can fuel save and get home, if that's your strategy and that's your strategic call, or you can double stop.
Yeah, it's an interesting call actually, because the guys from New Zealand, who unfortunately because of daylight savings have had to pull out of this because now it's 22:11 in New Zealand. They were saying the same thing. So I was having a good chat with Thomas Kirker, as we refer to him, or TK.
TK.
And he was saying the same thing. We're looking at setting up an NZ version of this for next year for them, and they were looking at an hour 45 for that same reason.
Hour 45 is too short.
Yeah, but from the point of view of hour 45 tanks limited.
Okay, that was the key piece of information that I was missing.
Yeah, so hour 45 tanks limited. So we're looking at either just being able to make it if you fuel save, or you have to double stop if you're going to run.
Well, there's a series that I'm a part of with a lot of the Oval guys, and then some of those are learning to do road courses, so I'm sort of assisting them with how to set this series up in those sort of capacities. And we did an IndyCar at Watkins Glen Classic today, which I was telling them that they're really, really missing out, that the IndyCar is absolutely suited to running the boot layout, and that they're absolutely missing out. Anyway,
which you're right about.
Which we ran 25 laps there today, and they're all saying to me right at the start of the race, no, there's no way you'll get home, you're dead. And I said, hang on, I think I've got this here. In the early portions of the race, I was 10 seconds off the leader. He passed me on the last lap, and I coughed coming out of the last corner. So for me, those races create so much more excitement and energy, because you're looking at gaps and going, hang on, that gap doesn't mean very much, and was that Martin Lofthouse that was off the road in front of Bowler.
He just ran wide there. Doesn't look like it was too much of an incident. He just ran wide in the grass. So I don't think there's any damage to that Porsche at all. So he got very lucky there. Very easy to just keep going into the fence. Oh, a little bit of damage on the left-hand front corner.
Having said that, 772 was one of the decided pit strategies. So 664 is doable. He's in the window.
Yes, he is. So he can go in, get that repaired, and get running again.
Which I would honestly expect him to do. I think it's just in his best interest just to reset, take a break. You've got maybe 20 seconds. Again, we have the tyre debate every week. Given that it's the Nürburgring, I would recommend the drivers taking a set of tyres.
It's cold
at
though.
Some stage. It is cold. Yeah, 100% it's cold.
What are we on here? 18 degrees, 19 degrees, 20 degree track temp, 19 degrees ambient. Like, it's cold.
But
they won't wear the tyres out in one set.
Oh, it's not about wearing the tyres out, though. It's about having what's underneath you and confidence in that. Because, again, driver versus track. So the leaders. So, Pennell, Spithill, Douglas. Yeah, sure, let's lock them into no tyre strategy. That's fine. Everyone else, I'm a little bit different. What have we got? Brown, Nash. Actually, they're in a really, really tight battle. There's about 4 or 5 cars separated by 10 seconds there, which is really cool. Actually, I think it's 3 cars. It's 3 cars actually separated from second back to fourth. And those guys, no tyres. 100% no tyres. Everyone else in the GTE class, I think, should take tyres. And again, it's not on the basis of strategy in terms of racing people. It's on the basis of let's just bounce off a few curves for me, Parnell, whilst I'm trying to say something that would give me a heart attack there for a few moments. Let's just get a bit of security underneath us, I think, is probably the better way to look at it.
Yeah, he's got a little... there you go. Just running a little bit wide there. Chris Purnell. So he is currently leading the GT3 category. And in front of a couple of the GTEs at this stage. But...
Can I just say, after that segment, I think he was running in the GT Wii category. Because a little bit of Wii might have come out.
Or maybe a little bit. Maybe just a little bit on the grass there. But no, doing well running out in front. You'll find this actually funny, Stuart. Just talking in cricket
cricket team conversation on Facebook at the moment about regulations about ball shining this weekend. What's not allowed is sandpaper.
No, absolutely not. And I mean, of course, with Bunnings reopening, there's every threat that someone will bring sandpaper to the cricket match. But you can't do that. Not even over here in Australia, apparently.
Not in South Africa either.
No.
Big no-no over there. They're on the verge of getting kicked out of the ICC at the moment, unless they get their act together.
I did see that.
It's to do with government involvement in the sporting body, which is fair enough. The ICC has very, very strict rules around not allowing it to be corrupt or any sort of political statement.
Yes.
So the South African government's having to step in because there's a lot of instability in the South African Cricket Association.
We can't go into that given the potential for corruption in other extraordinarily large cricketing nations. That's what I thought you'd say. Let's move along. So we've got Crispin.
I was literally just. This is why this is all happening, because I was looking at it and going, hang on, what the hell? Yeah. Anyway, let's get back to racing.
Let's get back to racing. We don't want to get into those sorts of conversations. It's just not that type of podcast. So we've got Michael Spithill now we're on board with. He's 1.5 seconds up the road. That gap reasonably stable after his little spin, but that gap between himself and Brett Douglas at around about that 2 to 1.5 seconds, depending on where we're at on the track, relatively consistent. So we'll keep an eye on this for a little bit. We haven't got too many battles at the moment, and that's a reasonably normal thing to happen here with the length of track and the different strengths and weaknesses of the drivers around said circuit. So anything within about a second is close, because it can easily and very quickly change here. And on an 8.5 minute lap, a second is nothing.
I'm curious so either Brett Douglas had a moment very early on before Spitty did, or he just fell a long way back and he wasn't. It could have been cold tyres, to be perfectly honest with you, but Spitty had that accident on his own, self-spin, caught it, straightened it out, kept going, but I think he lost somewhere in the realm of 5 to 10 seconds, and Douglas is still behind him.
Yeah, I think it's literally race management from Brett. He's pretty conservative. He understands a lot about endurance racing, and so for him it will be, I just need to be there or thereabouts coming into the last 45 minutes or so, and then I can push.
Okay, and the other thing that was sort of curious for me was his sector times at the moment. He's absolutely blowing out Spithill in front of him. They're very even. Sorry, it's my apologies. It's Trahair behind him that I'm looking at the numbers for. But Spithill had a massive moment again in one of the sectors this lap and lost 2.2 seconds. So
yeah, and you can see that there, the gap between Luke Trahair and Douglas over the laps.
Oh no. Seb just said in race chat he's had an absolute nightmare of an evening and he's just left the server at this point in time. So race over and done with for him.
No, that's not good at all. I did say he came off track again. So that is really, really disappointing for Sebastian. We look forward to seeing him back next season, however. But definitely not the way we want to see that end.
I'm just going to keep my eyes on a few different things at this point in time of looking at a few different drivers. So I'm just going to go through the incident list and just see how the cars are faring at this point.
No worries at all.
Whoa, save it, Shorty. Okay, that's a scrape with the outside wall. That's fine. What happened to Seb? Oh, that is toast. Say early sector of the lap, Seb just binned it again, and that's another 15-minute toast. So I don't blame him for. Is that him right now?
I was going to say, as we say that, just be careful what you say because he's in the room. So Seb, definitely not the way that we wanted to see your night end, mate.
No, look, I've had a hell of a week. After last round, I had my good rim fall apart on my sim, so I've been using a dodgy rim, which wasn't so bad. Last night I had my graphics card just completely throw all sorts of problems at me, So I wasn't even sure if my computer was going to boot today, and I've been dealing with about 40 FPS in VR, which is just throwing all sorts of weirdness at me. So tonight has not been my night. It's a really upsetting way to end the championship. Big congratulations to Luke. Obviously, he's going to secure second. I'm cheering on Spitty out there at the moment. He's driving the guts off that thing, trying to take it to Chris. So hopefully he can have a good race, but not the way I wanted to end my season.
No, and definitely not the way we wanted to see the season end either. And when you go back and watch it later on tonight, hopefully you'll see the first thing that I said when we got onto the GT3s at the start was how good it was to see the two 981 VMM cars and the two Bow Repairs Redback race team cars starting the race, and we had an alternative one to the other, and I was looking forward to seeing how it played out throughout the evening, but just not to be.
Yeah, look, I was very excited for tonight. I love this track. During practice, during the week leading up to it, I managed an 816 on qual trim, so I felt comfortable. I felt confident. And even with the rim that I'm not used to, I felt like I had a chance of surviving tonight. If the graphics issues hadn't happened, I reckon there would have been a great chance of being up there and really putting on a good fight and trying to get those points I needed to get second from Luke. But it just seemed everything just fell apart yesterday. So, unfortunate. But it might be that kick in the butt I need to go get myself a new 3070 graphics card.
Well, if you can find one.
Yes, that's the trick. But yeah, I'm actually at the process at the moment of potentially dumping, looking at spending maybe $5-6 grand on some direct drive and some Hauskenfeld pedals and maybe some other good bits and pieces. So
look out.
And look, I'll be coming back next season with a vengeance. Big thank you to you guys, obviously, for putting on an awesome show. And I'm looking forward to next season.
No, we're definitely keen to have you guys back, and with that level of gear upgrade as well, keen to see what you do with all of that. I was going to say, I know in speaking with Ryan at Aftershock, just to try and get a little pitch in for them there as well, we were trying to do a group buy for the RTX graphics cards, and he said that basically that there's so little stock around that they can't do anything for us because they're all basically sold. So it's a tough one to get hold of.
Yeah, look, there is a tough market for it. Fortunately, I do have a 1080 sitting here in the streamer, so what I might do is I might swap out the graphics cards around and see if that'll get me going for the interim until maybe after Christmas or something when I can find one.
Yeah, because I was about to say, like, that's something I was looking at as well, was dropping about that amount of cash to upgrade my rig, and then I can feel for you because, hearing aids my big priority right now, so definitely in the world of hurt, and I can understand all those sorts of things. So
yeah, so now look, it's I'm excited to see what I get. I'm hopefully going to be confirming whether it's something I can do or can't do in the next day or two. Really, I've been crunching numbers and seeing what's out there and looking at reviews. There's also the sim rig stuff out there that I'm looking at. So there's a few options. Look, in a perfect world, I would love to go and spend $5-10 grand and get a monster setup, but we know how much it is. That's a lot of money. So we'll see.
There's no form of motorsport that isn't cubic dollars, whether it be sim racing or wheel racing. It's my goodness me. I'm looking forward, speaking of good sim rigs, to seeing, and I know he's not running tonight, but Frank Hodak is in the process of getting through putting together his rig, and he's got...
Oh no, hang on. Just an update, Spitty's crashed, actually.
Yeah, I did actually put that up on the screen while we were gas bagging, and he did unfortunately had another solo spin.
Okay.
And that's moved Brett Douglas up into second. I know as we're on screen there, he's done that again, so definitely pit this lap, I would say, as Braden Nash as well has had an off, and a big one too, so it's all happening at the moment. That car is not driving straight at all. So what's happened there? Is that over the jump? Yeah, he's just pushed wide off the curb. It's just pushed him wide on the corner. And he's actually done a really good job there to just keep that to the inside of the track, and Timothy Russell's gone through, so Nash will pit this lap for sure, and try and get that car straightened out a little bit. He's not going to lose too much time actually, because he's on the back straight, so he'll get that one.
The biggest issue is trying to keep the things in a straight line. Oh my god, look at that crab walk.
He'll get that one straight and get it back around. And you know what? Not the worst time. If you're going to have one, not the worst time to have one, because we're at an hour 20. It's well and truly within the window. It's probably going to cost him, 30 seconds or so overall, but it's not a big toe, and the timing of it's not that bad.
Yeah, and it's in a drivable enough condition that he's obviously made it back, so he's saved himself probably 2 minutes worth of tow there at least.
Yep.
I'd say.
And Spitty will be able to do the same.
So minute 30 versus 30 seconds.
Am I
30
seeing
second course, so.
things, or has Chris Pennell got a bit of damage to the back of his car too?
No, you know what? I was looking at that early on in the race, and he doesn't. I think it's something to do with the way the livery is sitting on the car. Because it it looks like it's got a buckle in the middle at the back, but yeah, just on the Audi.
Well, hang on, have a look at the front. The front's sitting funny as well.
Yeah,
if you have a look at the vent.
But there's no damage to that car unless it's too low and it's bottoming out. But you would have seen, a spin or something like that. I think it's literally in the livery.
Yeah, that's an unusual one. It is definitely looks like
there's definitely a small bit of bending on the front in the nose of it, and then in the bonnet lid as well. There's just a slight crease. There's not much in it, but there is something. I think I agree with you. I think it is bottoming out though.
Maybe using too much curb potentially as well. Don't know, but yeah, obviously not affecting the car too much. Looking at the lap times. But what I was saying before, that Frank Hodak, he's got the most extraordinary seat I've ever seen in a sim rig. He's got a Ayrton Senna livery in a metallic finish on the back of his seat, and it's absolutely amazing. He's putting together his masterpiece, his ideal setup, and it looks cracking. So have a look at that if you're looking for inspiration.
Sounds good.
Sim rig is so much cheaper than a race car.
That is very
Not
true.
much.
Anyway, I might jump out. I'll leave you boys to it. I'm going to get the broadcast up on the big screen and cheer on the RRT boys. Thank you all for a great season, and I'm really looking forward to the next one. So I'm not out there with you tonight racing hard, but I'm sure.
I was going to say, can you pass on a best of luck to Spitty? Actually, Purnell getting a little bit sideways right there right now, so Spitty's in the pit lane. You just passed on best of luck to him and best wishes for tonight.
Will do. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Seb. So now 17 to go, and we've got Chris Purnell and we've got Brett Douglas in first and second here. Luke Traher just moving up into third, only because Michael Spithill is taking that pit stop. So
actually, just looking at the pit tracker, that I've got open, Jordan Malcolm was in the lane the last time around as well. So he's knocked one of his stops out, and it was lap 4. So his strategy will be 4.55, I think, tonight. Sorry, that doesn't work. 4.66 it has to be.
Yeah, so this pit stop will be almost done, and Michael Spithill will be back out on track in a moment, and there he goes.
So one of the benefits of two-stopping this race or splitting it up into 3 stints. Now, initially on your first fill, you want to start the race with 120 litres on board. That much given, locked in. You cannot do anything because the fill time, you're giving up time. Yeah, the car's going to be 1, maybe 2 seconds slower a lap around a regular track. So here, it wouldn't be 2 seconds, it'd be 1.5 at most, right? So here it's going to be 5-6 seconds worth over the course of a stint, right? But it's worth it. It's 100% worth it because that's 10 seconds worth of time you don't have to sit static in the pits across the course of the night.
Yep.
So you make up so much ground there. But now any of these guys that are already committed to a 2-stop strategy, they don't have to fill the car up to the brim and be carrying around this excess weight. I would say still fill the tank always to maybe an 80% sort of capacity, probably 80 to 85% capacity, but don't go to your 100% capacity. There's just no need for it. And you're going to make the car handle worse and put a lot more pressure on you when you don't need to do that.
Yeah, potentially the case. I hadn't thought about it in that way. You can definitely run that sort of alternative fuel to even the stints out. I guess it also gives you a little bit of flexibility just in case. So yeah, an interesting one. I hadn't thought about it that way. Just keeping an eye here on Braden Nash and Matty Bowler as well in the background on the timing screens. Nash now up to 5th and Matty Bowler up to 4th. So, of course, with Nash having run through pit lane, so he's already done his first stop on lap 5.
Tell you what, there's a few creases in the front end of that Lockie Brown BMW as well. It's not looking 100%, but it's 95. 95.
Just must be the curbs.
Has to be.
Because we've had no notifications either, so it's just curb abuse, shall we say, like that. Perfectly timed by Lockie Brown there, just running up over the curb. So
some may say the appropriate amount of curb was used.
Thanks for contributing to the stream. So it is Tim Russell behind him at the moment. Jeff Thomas, my apologies, not too far back, so about 3 seconds back down the road. Again, still reasonably close. We haven't given jump on board with this man right now. We haven't given Ron Polito much coverage tonight. We haven't had much cause to give him coverage, actually. He's just been doing his own thing, tootling around the track. And currently running in 6th position with a very clean car. So the most important thing. So
you know what I really love about this series, Stuart?
What's that?
Is that I was actually just thinking to myself, can I call Ron Polito the fan favourite car? But you kind of can't. Oh!
We put the curse on him.
God damn it. Yeah, that's abusive curbs. That's a bit too much curbs, we'll say that. Because you kind of can't say that. You can say that about the NSR guys. You can say it about Purnell and a few and the VMM Motorsport guys. You can say it about Sev, like they've got their own supporters. You can say it about the Politos, which is, I think that's one of the best aspects of AEE, is that all of the teams sort of have their own supporters, which is awesome. Like everyone's out here and about and supporting things. And I'd say this is going to be an early pit stop for Ron Polito, but from the look of that, he's not even halfway through the lap, so it's going to be a long lap.
Yeah, but he's going to get right in the window, so it's not going to play out that badly for him. It might not be when he wanted it. But he's actually 3/4 of the way through the lap. He's down in the...
Okay, so not horrific.
Yeah, it could be worse. He's just coming through. He's just gone through the jump. So he's just coming through the back section of the track now. So yeah, not too bad a time if you're going to have one. There. So sorry, jump right there. Martin Lofthouse. He is currently running in 7th position. Again, dare I say it, in another relatively clean-looking Porsche.
Oh, well, we saw him in the wall, like just graze the wall on the left-hand side of the car. You can sort of see it.
I'd say relatively clean. So
okay.
Relatively.
Fair enough.
We'll give him the benefit of the doubt. But yeah, relatively having a solid drive, and it still is actually. I don't know. It's just one of my favourite liveries. The livery that Tomo and him run. Oh, see! Oh! And at this point of the evening, we are going to have to suspend covering drivers because every time we do, they crash. And that's the biggest crash we've seen this evening. So he will definitely be making a trip through pit lane. And again, a good thing for him that he is basically towards the end of the lap. He's got this section of the track to cover through the next bowl, and then he'll be onto the back straight and into pit lane to get all that repaired.
I'm having trouble picking the sections of the track outside of the car, if I'm going to be perfectly honest with you. Because you just sort of learn to read it from the cockpit, don't you?
Well, yeah, and the graffiti on the road and all those sorts of things just give you that information when you're in the car. What I'll do is we'll bring the track map back up, which takes up half the screen because of how big the track is. So that'll give us a little bit more of an idea. So with Chris Purnell here, he's just coming up to the slow left-hander.
Yep, still no ticker. That's fine.
Yeah, I'm not sure what's going on with that there. You know what? With the track as well, not everything's working because there's so much data coming through from the track itself being such a big track that it can affect the overlay.
Which is fair enough. Like there is a lot to show in terms of things. Like when you look at a lot of this stuff, and especially stuff like iRacing Live, so the apps and whatnot that we're really using to sort of just display this, a lot of it's third-party programs, so you're pulling it through APIs. Now, the benefit is that all this stuff has been out for such a long period of time that, you know, they've got time to break things, trial and test them, and improve them, and all those sorts of things. So the iterations that we're on at this point in time are better than they were Oh, he made it.
Yeah, Lofty made it into pit lane, so he'll get that damage repaired and get back on with it.
You make me nervous watching Chris.
Well, yeah, I mean, he may well say that I shouldn't have been doing it, but you know, we've got it. I'm trying to give everyone coverage tonight, like we always do, and even more so given that it's the final round. So he's gonna make he's gonna make it to just on the hour.
Yeah, yes, no.
He's gonna make it by the time he trundles down pit lane. He will make it basically to an hour if he pits at the end of next lap.
He's playing with fire, but yeah, they're thereabouts.
It's gonna be close.
But this is about where he said in terms of fuel, 7 laps to a stint, so he's on lap 7 now.
Brett Douglas also still going, so that working for them. We'll jump on board with Luke Trahair, who's currently in 3rd. So at the moment, it is a VMM 1-2-3. So we could close the year out with a 1-2-3 from a team as we open the year with 1-2-3 from the NSR boys at that first round all that time ago. What do you think of the? We made a switch in season 2 to a fortnightly event. What are your thoughts on how that's played out?
Talking now that I am a part of one of the teams and whatnot that's involved with it, obviously it's a little bit different from an outside perspective, which I think is unique. Actually, there's not really anyone else that has that outside perspective on the series, which is cool. I think it's good from when I'm looking at it in terms of a driver preparation standpoint. There's a week off to sort of reset, relax, and go again. In terms of broadcast, it's difficult because you've got to make mental notes and then bring them up every couple of weeks. So I think there's benefits. I mean, you know, there's cost benefit analysis to pro con analysis to everything. The cost is that they don't have to show up every week and lose time away from their families, as my wife complained to me earlier this evening, and quite rightly so, that this week I will spend 4 out of 5 work weeknights in a sim rig effectively. So
yeah, I think one of the advantages to it is certainly that it gives the drivers a week off. It is a long race, like a 2-hour race. A lot of the other series that run during the week, they'll go for just as long, but they're multiple races. So you'll have a heat race and then a final race. So the 2-hour race is a long race to prepare for in terms of car setup. These aren't fixed series. The guys develop their own setups for all of the cars. The disadvantage to that is that it's every fortnight, and so drivers generally, a lot of these guys will race 4 or 5 nights a week. And in doing that, they want series that are on consistently. But a lot of the series they're running in, of course, do run those shorter race distances. A lot of them are fixed series as well, potentially. So the time involved in setting the cars up and getting ready for the series isn't as great. And that's probably one of the advantages, but it's also a disadvantage. We've lost a couple of drivers because of that.
I think here's the way that I look at it. I don't think that we could run this series weekly without it being fixed setups. I think it's just too much stress. So, and the fixed setups, the amount of effort that goes into them from a administration point of view, the drivers have to come to an agreement, or you know, there's got to be something in the way of that. That's odd behaviour for Geordie. He might have taken tyres actually. Well, why is he weaving? That's bizarre.
Equally, if he did take tyres, I mean, he's already 2 laps into the stint on those tyres. He may still be struggling to get heat in them. I'd be surprised. The track temperature is getting a little bit of understeer there. You can see a lot of, and we've done it again.
He was out in the marbles. It wasn't understeer. That was marbles.
No, you're right. He was out in the marbles with the change in the camera angle there. It caught me out, but yeah, he got caught in the marbles. A little bit of understeer, and then it just carried him out wide, and he was in the marbles, and it was all gone.
Yeah, in terms of fixed setups, I think it's a nightmare. I think you're asking for trouble. So what would I vote for? Probably longer races once a month. But then it's so hard to keep your drivers engaged as well. They're not as interested in the series, or although it could, if you make it a more serious thing, maybe a 6 hour once a month in a team format. But then again, that goes three sort of seasons, you three completely and utterly different formats, or whether you go to two series effectively, one being a full-on endurance team series, and the other one being a semi-sprint series. So I don't know. There's decisions. There's things to be discussed to it.
We did actually float that with the drivers of running an LMP2 endurance series, having 3 rounds, 6-hour races. We just didn't really get the engagement for it, and it was during the year as well. So there's every chance that because of all the officials, as the race leader, I did think he might jump in now. Race leader Lockie Brown jumps into pit lane on lap 7, just before the hour mark. So
he's short. He's gonna have to do another stop.
He's gonna have to save or do a stop. Yeah.
No. He'll have to do another stop. That's too much fuel to save, because you've got to. Whenever you see somebody coming into pit lane at this point, 56 minutes, right? You've got to multiply the time left of that hour mark by 2. So that's 8 minutes worth of fuel. That's a whole lap of fuel he's got to save. He's dead. There's the second stop, and I'd say the entire field will be in the same boat.
Potentially. Almost definitely, actually. Yeah, you're spot on. So he's going to do that pit stop now, and he'll get back out. Of course, lapping at the moment, he's about 46 seconds up on Timothy Russell, who is also entering into pit lane as we speak. So let's jump on board with Tomo and see where he's at. And is he going to jump into pit lane? He probably should, but he is not.
Oh my god!
So he's going to go a full 8-minute lap, and that's the 8 minutes that you need to save.
Now the benefit here is he only has to do this once across the 2 hours, right? He only needs to extend one stint into the 104 mark. Now, save will be the call for the entirety of this lap. Well, then again, don't count out Lockie Brown yet either, because Lockie could theoretically go the next hour and 4 minutes and then pull into the lane as well. So,
well, that's exactly right. He may have enough to get home. So we'll stick on board with Tomo for a bit of this lap here and see if he is saving any fuel or not as Tim Russell enters pit lane.
I think it's 16 laps. I think you've got to go 8-8 to get home on one stop. Oh! But from memory, the fuel burn gets lower as the temperature comes down. Or does it go higher? Is it the opposite?
No, it should get lower.
But there's more grip available because it's a colder track, so you might be on the throttle more often.
Potentially.
The air's denser, so for the fans at home, what happens in real life, again, I'm not 100% sure how much this will translate across, is you're looking for air density. I'm a chemist, I did chemistry at university, so what I'm looking for is there's an equilibrium in that reaction. You want to thrust the equilibrium of that reaction as far to one side of it to force something specific to happen. Now, in the case of burning fuel, any excess air you get in there, you're creating more energy because there's more available. And most people will just know this, but I know obviously the scientific side, right? More air available to make that reaction happen more favorably. Now, whenever you're burning anything, there are going to be micro reactions going on inside of that aren't going to be complete combustion. You're going to get some carbon monoxide created in there instead of just carbon dioxide. What that means is not all of the carbon is getting burnt, right? You're only getting portions of the carbon getting burnt to its optimal levels, which isn't good in terms of combustion. Now, when the air is colder, we all know that as air gets colder, we know that cold air sinks to the bottom and hot air rises to the top, right? That's because the cold air is denser, meaning there's more oxygen content, which means your fuel burns far more efficiently because there's more oxygen available within the same amount of space. Yeah, science corner. Ooh. Stuart?
Oh, and I'm back. Sorry about that. I don't know what happened there with my mic. It just dropped out completely.
I was sitting there thinking, oh, hang on, did he say we were going for a break or
No,
something?
no,
I've been
no.
talking this whole time and the stream hasn't been listening.
I just couldn't get back onto it. No. I just couldn't get back onto it. So it's just like it's the end of the season, so everything's deciding that it wants to give up as we just get across the end of the first hour. Chris Purnell jumping into pit lane. We had Brett Douglas and Luke Trahare all go through pit lane as well. So an hour there for the Audis as they head back out onto the track. So we're looking here to see if Tomo does jump into pit lane. We'll come back to him. Getting an idea.
There's no way you can go another lap. There's no way.
Certainly not.
It'll be 8 laps, no, hands down.
Certainly not. And just Luke Trahare here in pit lane now. So that has put Spithill back up into third. And that is
Albeit
Jordan,
15 seconds behind Douglas, so...
That is Jordan Malcolm in behind them, who unfortunately had to get a tow back after an earlier incident in that lap. Ron Polito leaves pit lane after his tow back as well. So they've now done their compulsory stops, but they are, in Ron's case, he's half a lap behind the race leaders, so that hasn't been the worst outcome for him. Geordie Malcolm, unfortunately, a full lap down now.
I was actually just going to say, I had a conversation with Geordie this week about the last time out and sharing the the story about Spa. So I'm not allowed to share. I'm now officially banned from sharing Jordan Malcolm stories.
Yes, no, there is always that that commercial in confidence style activity that you do need to take into account when you're commentating. So Tomo here is the gap's closed down to 16 seconds between himself and Lockie Brown. So last lap around at 8:15 for Tomo.
So hang on, Lockie Brown, remember as well, come out of the pit lane. So unless my eyes deceive me, unless he went in last time around, has he pit? No, he hasn't pit yet. That's what I thought. Okay, so 2 drivers haven't pit. Matthew Bowler and Jeff Thomas. So this might actually play Bowler right back into it. I was talking to Bowler about fuel strategy prior to the race. He said, and I quote, the NSR guys were winging it.
Well, we know that Brock Schaefer generally does their car setup, so that probably doesn't surprise me a little bit, but equally, it equally surprises me, given the history that team has with spending fuel. So, well, yeah, I guess we'll see what happens. They're past the hour mark, so they're certainly going to make it home on one stop if they choose to. So, yeah, let's see.
Yeah, who knows? Who knows? I mean, is this the master stroke that these guys needed? So, who knows? I mean, when you look at it, Tomo started this lap when Lockie Brown actually came out of the pits. I was monitoring that gap quite closely. It was about 20 seconds when he jumped on the accelerator at the end of pit lane. So, or when he went down through turn number 1 sort of thing. So he's lost somewhere in the realm of 5 seconds over the lap so far, and he's coming up. He's about 3/4 of the way through the lap right now. So let's say there's 7.5 seconds in the lap. Now, a pit stop here. What was the pit lane transit time? Was for Brown was a minute for his stop, and a minute 28 for his pit lane transit time. So potentially might have actually taken tyres there, because that seems a long stop. So I'd love to have something at this point where I could just be like, hey, presto puncho, punch the numbers in and come up and be like, yeah, he did this, he did this, he did this, but I don't have that, and we didn't watch the entirety of his stop. So that's the information I have, Stuart.
No, makes sense to me. On board at the moment with Braden Nash.
He's pushing.
He's pushing hard, so he's made that that stop, but he needs to catch Lockie Brown. 18 seconds away as Res Polito apparently.
Oh, that's a shame for Res.
So Braden Nash won't stop this time around because he has already done his stop earlier on in the evening on lap 5 as Jeff Thomas does jump into pit lane, as we absolutely suspected he would. So he now has a gap of 13 seconds to Lockie Brown, so that'll be eaten up. Braden Nash also will make his way up. Tomo's going to come out around 5th place, but he does definitely not have to stop again.
We think.
54,
Who knows?
54 minutes to go. You would absolutely suggest he's not got to make another pit stop.
Unless there's damage. Damage would be... So his entire responsibility from here to the rest of the race is to not necessarily drive quick, but drive clean. Bowler's going to jump through pit lane as well.
Indeed he is, and likewise he will make it to the end. No damage considered. So really the only one with any question at this stage is Braden Nash, and potentially Braden Nash will have to stop again. Lockie Brown and Tim Russell may have to stop again. Chris Purnell, Brett Douglas will not have to stop again at the front.
Yes, they will. Yes, they will. There's no way they get home from there. Just
to end the season on a beg to differ, I beg to differ. We'll see who's right.
That's the best part about commentating with you, Stuart. I love disagreeing with you because it's good discussion points.
Absolutely. We'll see who's right. They stopped on the hour or just after the hour mark, so they should get home as well, but we'll see.
No, they didn't. They stopped beforehand. 7 laps. 7 laps at 8 minutes a lap, 8 minutes and a bit a lap is going to get them to about 55 minutes. 56 minutes. So they're a couple minutes short.
Pit lane transit time?
Yeah, it's close. It is very, okay, if they do an extra lap on top of things, so I'm predicting it's either 15 or 16 laps, right? So 7 laps, they're dead. If it's 16 laps, they're 100% dead. I think what's going to happen is we're going to do 14 laps and then get the white flag, which will push it to 15, so they have to stop again.
Well, we will see.
I like that. Bets are on.
Let's see how it goes.
Where's the gaps at this point in time? I don't know. It's gone quiet.
Maddie's back out of pit lane. We've got Lockie Brown back in front, so he's 20 seconds up on Braden Nash. Timothy Russell 12 seconds behind Braden. Tomo's ended up 17 seconds further back on Tim. And then we've got Matty Bowler. He is 38 seconds further back as well. That's the top 5 in the GTEs. GT3-wise, Chris Purnell still leading that class. He's about 6 seconds in front of Brett Douglas at this point in time. And then we're about 11 seconds back to Michael Spithill. So that's the top 3 in your GT3s.
I tell you what, this race isn't, as we often say, it comes down to the last half an hour, but with those fuel strategies, I think it's the first time we've actually said this season that fuel strategy is incredibly important, and planning, preparation, conservation, and I think probably the most important aspect, which we've said all night, is driving behavior and driver attitude, I think is the biggest thing right now. If you're trying to push at this phase of the race, you run such a big risk of just bidding it. But ultimately, if you try and conserve and try and look after yourself a little bit, your concentration tends to dip. So you need to be on that line between conservatively pushing, I think, is where you need to be, which it sounds wrong, but it's pushing without risk. Basically, you're not looking to be hard everywhere. You're not looking to turn qualifying laps every lap of the race. You're looking to turn around the Nürburgring 1 to 2 seconds off that is you're more than happy with.
Particularly in the dark as well. I mean, the whole complex.
Oh yeah.
The complex of the track changes. We're on board with Lockie Brown. He dropped the wheel while we were talking, and just wanting to see how hard he's still pushing. Absolutely, very hard. Flat out, in fact, trying to open that gap up to Braden Nash, potentially because of fuel strategy, maybe requiring that splash and dash at the end. Let's see. So you can see the Nürburgring not built for 24-hour racing by any stretch of the imagination. Track lighting optional.
That's what I was going to ask. Did you get the... one of the quirks of iRacing is that when you try and set up a race at night that doesn't have lights, it comes up with this lovely little notification that says, this track does not have stadium lighting. Do you wish to continue?
Yeah, it actually, on the circuit racing side of things, it would not allow me to accelerate time. So you couldn't run a multiple to get nighttime to come quicker or anything like that because the track is not lit. As Matty Bowler has had an issue, in fact it's a big issue, he has towed. Just see him there straight ahead.
Oh, that's
the
damaged
fence.
the steering hard.
And that is
Oh!
crabbing. And there's no way you can crab that much of the lap, and he hasn't indeed. It's
Okay.
Parked it into the fence.
Yeah, that was impaled on the fence. Did you see the aggressive? That's one of the worst crab walking cars I've ever seen.
It just shows you how quickly the night can change. Braden Nash back up into second place. Lockie Brown leading at the moment.
So it's on Russell right now, for my mind. Now, I think pit lane transit time, the time it takes to drive down through the lane, is about 28 seconds. So that's going to put you delta at about 25 seconds just on pit lane drive-through, plus any pit lane servicing time. Now, if we're saying that Brown's done a 7-lap first stint, he's going to do probably a 7-lap second stint, and then fuel for one probably. Look, if I'm in his shoes, I'm fueling for 2 laps, 2.5 laps, because even if it's a little bit longer than that, I've got extra fuel up my sleeve. You know, I can save a little bit if I need to. So it's just safety factor. With the lead that he has, I'd be looking to buy some safety factor rather than anything else. So he's going to have to fuel 2 laps around here. So in the GT3s, I can tell you it's burning about 16, 17 litres a lap, somewhere in that realm. These things I wouldn't even know because I know they've got a smaller tank on them. So to do 7 laps, probably 15-ish. So that's 30 litres, 3 litres a second, I think, is your fuel. So that's 10 seconds of static time. So he should, 38 seconds is the margin he needs over Timothy Russell. And right now he's at 42. Quick math.
Just looking as well, a little bit of shuffling going on the grid, on the timing screen here. We've got Chris Purnell up to 5th. Outright at the moment, Brett Douglas 6th and Michael Spithill 7th. So strong performance from those guys in amongst the GTEs as well. Brad Nash here in second, still pursuing Lockie Brown. Second place in terms of the points. Second place strong enough to allow him to take out the championship overall. So let's bear that in mind. Even with Chris Purnell in 5th, outright in his class leading, there's only 2 points difference between a first and a second at the moment. That gap between first and second in the points overall is 4 points. So for Chris Purnell to retain the championship, we would need Braden Nash to finish 4th or worse.
I don't... Bar... And I hate saying this, but bar anything bad happening. So he's got... Right now he needs to build himself about a 7-second margin to Jeff Thomas. Timothy Russell right now, he's got managed. That's not who he should be racing, theoretically. Jeff Thomas is on the strategy that he's vulnerable to at this point in time, and we just said about 38 seconds to 40 seconds is your margin, right? That's what you're looking for to be safe to somebody on the one-stop strategy. So he's going to have to push to the end here, and again, risk factor continues to climb. So
yeah, no, definitely an interesting one. I just can't see it happening, if I was brutally honest. I was just double checking.
A minor mistake right now, to the point whereby it's not worth pitting for to grab a quick repair. But then again, Nash is now within the window. So if something happens in the back quarter of the lap, don't vote him out yet, Stuart. Don't look. Stranger things have happened.
I know, but let's look at it from a different perspective. It really, ultimately, right now where we're at, requires Purnell to finish above Nash, because we're at the stage where we've got the top 2 drivers, or the top driver in each class, in the top 5. Braden Nash needs to drop 4 points, and Chris Purnell needs to pick up.
Well, he can't
gap.
get any more points.
No, he can't. That's it. So he's on 30 points. So Nash needs to finish. So third place gets you 26 points. Nash needs to finish 4th or worse.
It's possible. It's possible. If he makes a mistake, if he makes a mistake, it's got to be a reasonable mistake. Let's say an off in the middle of the track that I'm not saying crab walks the car. I'm saying bends the steering. Timothy Russell catches him. Remember the big thing is it's all going to happen in one lap, right? Because he's now in the window to get home. So if it happens in one lap and he's able to contain it by less than 17 seconds, whatever happens, he gathers it up, he gets back on and doesn't lose that period of time, he's safe. He's got the championship done. But anything less than that, anything more than that, sorry, is where he's vulnerable.
But we really don't, in all honesty, we don't want it to finish that way.
Oh, no.
And neither would Chris, so I can't imagine Purnell wanting to retain it under those circumstances. So,
especially with the season that both of them have driven. Like, it has been... I think we saw Purnell's very few mistakes. I think he made a mistake at some point at Le Mans, and last time out at Spa... Yeah, last time out was at Spa, were the 2 mistakes that Purnell made, and other than that, it's been near faultless, you know, so... And Nash has been the perfect picture of consistency this season, so... How often can we say that we've seen Nash off track?
Not often at all.
And given the tracks and the time frames that we've been challenging the drivers to, you know, it's insane the level of consistency that he's had. I strongly admire it, and I wish that I could mirror it myself.
Whereas Polito just has another little incident off track there as well. He's unfortunately getting towed, and it looks like Matty Bowler now leaving pit lane and rejoining the race as well.
And good news for him is he's not out of fighting for positions. Just up the road from him, Ron Polito, only 6 seconds. So that's his target, I think, for tonight.
It certainly could have worked out worse for him. Of course, he will not have to stop again as well, so the potential that those late pit stops may play into his hands, albeit the gap to those in front of him now significant.
Massive, absolutely. Something for him, something catastrophic is going to happen up in front of him. So, look, I'd rather put the image out there and say, look, this is what needs to happen for this to happen. But you know, at the end of the day, we're explaining the 1, 2, 3% chances to you rather than anything else. So,
yeah, most definitely. We don't want it to end that way. So, 41 minutes to go, and 30-minute mark, only 11 minutes away.
It's happy hour, isn't it?
Well, happy half hour. The crazy 30 minutes. Frantic 30. Frantic 30 works. The frantic final 30, what we'll call it.
We get there. We're getting closer.
We'll
branding may not
We're
necessarily
still working on it. It's been a work in progress for the entire season. But frantic final 30 works for me. So yeah, and as we sit at the moment, Lockie Brown, dare I say, dominating tonight. He's basically led start to finish, put in a qualifying lap 4 seconds faster than Braden Nash. So he is a really strong driver at this track and currently leading this one as we head to 10 minutes to go to that 30-minute mark that we always look for each AEE, and that may bring him unstuck, but he's been very, very solid so far this evening with a cracking qualifying time and a good lead at this stage of 30 seconds over Braden Nash. Nash having a few issues tonight, but still managing to get back up into second place. He does have to stop again before the end of this race.
Both of them do. Yeah,
a little bit of conjecture around Timothy Russell and Lockie Brown as to whether or not they will definitely have to stop, but it's definitely line ball.
Well, I mean, it's feasible that they don't have to stop again. It is not beyond the realm of possibility that they get home from here. So, and I think Nash is the one that Lockie Brown is safe. No matter what happens. So, I think Nash has got to be the one that opts to go for the fuel saving just to protect things. But that in itself is a major, major risk, because if he messes it up, what we were talking about for championship implications, he'd not only run out of fuel, he would lose the championship. So do you play it safe on fuel strategy then if you're in his shoes?
I would on that basis. He'll have some advice somewhere telling him what he needs to do, and at this stage it's basically finish. So, get the fuel in, get it done, make it home. Don't worry about it. Go to bed. Wake up in the morning with the number one on the side of the door. And as we speak,
he wanted to answer the question for us. He was sick of us talking about it.
So Timothy Russell in third. We've got Tomo in fourth. He's fueled to the end. And then we've got Chris Purnell, Brett Douglas, Michael Spithill of our GT3 category. So
what this does is it sets a target for him. So now when Nash comes out of pit lane, he's going to know the gap to Russell, which is good because then he knows exactly where he needs to be to grab that place back. So I actually don't mind this.
Yeah, absolutely. And at the moment...
Sorry, Thomas, not Russell.
At the moment, Braden Nash in position 2 overall in the championship. As matters stand, but we don't expect him to finish that way.
No, we don't. And whether or not
theatre, though.
Whether or not Russell gets home, if Russell gets home from here, he has to overtake Thomas on the track, which he is capable of doing. Now, so Brown, let's scrub Brown out of the equation. He's got the night under control at this point in time. He's got to do something drastically wrong
and
to throw it away. So. Yeah, that's another important thing as well. So,
Purnell real loose there. I was actually going to say before, I didn't want to interrupt you, but we've also heaped all of it on Braden Nash doing the wrong thing to lose the championship, but equally Purnell could do the same. So there's every chance that that could happen as well, and it's then Braden can finish wherever he wants. So we can't be remiss of that fact too.
I'm not going to lie, this is the scruffiest I've seen Purnell all season. Normally his car looks that picture of composed self, and I've still in my mind I've still got this beautiful shot of Malcolm Spithill, Purnell going 3 wide at the back end of the Kemmel Straight. And that for me is the picture of what all 3 of those drivers are capable of, and only one of them has shown it every race of the year every race of this season. So this is a little bit uncharacteristic, and whether or not Purnell's pushing is curious to me.
It's interesting that you say that, and of course a little bit of insider information there. Chris actually hasn't been spending a lot of time in the car.
There you go. That's what it is.
So he literally this week got back into the car on, I think it was Monday night. In the ANSCAR Truck Series, and other than that, he's just not been spending time in the rig running. He's got a new job and he's got some other things going on as well, so he's been too busy to do a lot of time in the Audi. So, but he said to me he was keen to get back into it this week, and really the boys only finalised the setup for that car last night. So yeah, a little bit unusual, not the usual preparation we'd see from VMM, but yeah, so that might be why you're seeing what you're seeing.
Okay. Yeah, it's not. Yeah, it's odd because it nearly looks like there's mistakes going on all the time, but I mean, you could chalk it up to out of practice, but yeah,
Dare I
I
suggest
don't know.
it's pushing hard rather than
Yeah.
driving comfortably. It's like the car's
Yeah.
not quite there, but the pace.
Well, no, I think the car's there.
pace is there.
I think he's over inputting right now. That's what it looks like.
Yeah,
Like
potentially.
just you know, when you're out of practice, and well, okay, cricket's probably a perfect example. First off, you start by shuffling slightly towards the ball, and then you go, okay, I wasn't close enough to the ball that time. Well, the next thing is you take a big long stride, and then you get stumped, you know? So I'm wondering whether or not at the start of things he may have taken that little shuffle to try and be under driving the car a little bit, and now he's over driving it a little bit. There's a little bit of that going on. But like it's been on and off as well. He'll know it, and the mental game doesn't change. The mental game is very much like riding a bike. The skills are always there. You just need to put them into practice. This is interesting.
I just thought I'd bring it up on screen. Of course, Spithill will have to pit again. So, where are we at here?
There's Douglas on fuel. Show him, Spitty.
Yeah, I'm not sure Brett will worry too much about that. He's too experienced for that, but letting him know he's there all the same. So we had pit on lap 7 for the Douglas Mobile, and then behind him on lap 5 for Spithill. As we just had notification, Matty Broom has had an off track as well. So Spithill will need to pit basically any time now. I would say he's going to need to drop another pit stop between now and lap 12.
That's next lap. So the end of next lap. So he'll either come in this lap or at the end of next lap.
Yeah, so, I mean, the pressure will be on here, but Douglas will not necessarily have to pit again. He may. And
Whoa!
I think Douglas will be aware, potentially, that Spithill's going to have to pit, so he may not fight too hard here. If he knows if he knows he doesn't need to, then he'll know that Spithill does have to pit, and he won't play too hard here because there's no point.
Yes and no, because again, we're not 100% sure on fuel getting home in terms of Purnell and Douglas from here. Like I was suggesting, with the Mercedes and the Ferrari, I can tell you that it's a 2-stop race. I don't know. I don't have the numbers on the Audi. I'm fairly certain that the Audi's it's a 2-stop race as well. So.
But there's no way they can
Douglas.
There's no way they can run to an hour and have to 2-stop.
I didn't think they'd come in on the hour. I thought they was just short.
No, I don't think they were. Oh, it's Braden Nash.
Nash.
A notification here.
That's important. That's very important.
And they bumped the curb. Yeah, it's bumped the curb again and pushed him wide. That's actually... Oh, no, he didn't save it.
Oh, that's front on, so he's going to lose.
But he shouldn't be too bad on the steering.
Yeah, and the steering's the important part, because you cannot drive the car if they take like a... It's sort of like a 45-degree angle right on the front tyre. And that's it. That's sort of your off point.
But you know what, though? He's got over 3 minutes to Purnell. He could trundle down pit lane, get it fixed, and still be fine. And it's not Purnell that he needs to pass him. It's actually Bowler. Because Purnell passing him will not change his points tally. And it's his teammate. So there's no... I think right now, aside of not finishing, there's almost no chance that Nash will not be the champion at the end of this evening.
Well, when she's saying 3, the 4 points was the differential. So there you go, Lockie Brown blinks early on and just sends it down pit lane, which, again, not a bad idea. It just sets all your targets in mind. So at the end of this stop, he's going to be focusing on Jeff Thomas. Yeah, so...
4 points the gap. So it
was third he needed to finish. Fourth was a loss in terms of the championship. So
fourth makes it even on points. 30, 28,
well, there you go.
26. No, fourth means he loses the championship. But there is a little bit of question around whether or not Lockie Brown entering into the championship on the last round and winning the last race has championship implications.
Well, something else to consider is Spit Hill. I'm just looking at the timing model. Spit Hill's just gotten past Brett Douglas. So if we're sticking to this, so let's, well, okay, let's do a thought experiment here. Let's flesh out both paths here for the GT3 leaders. So let's say Purnell and Douglas get to the end from here. Spit Hill, line through him, gone. 100% gone. There is no way he makes it home. I think they come into the pits right on about 56 minutes though. So I think 56, 58 minutes. Oh no! Was that who I thought it was?
It was Purnell there, just rubbing the wall. So he's just got a little bit loose on the way through. So we're magically just inside 30 minutes. Just wanted to point it out to you. In fact, Braden Nash, his incident happened with 29 minutes and 33 seconds to go. Actually, probably a little bit earlier than that. The time monitor might be slightly out there because it says Purnell's incident was at 1 hour 33, which clearly isn't. But let's just say both they're very, very close to that last 30 minutes that we always talk about.
Yeah, so Purnell's incident was, it's because you've got to add in the 2 minutes grid up and run to the grid. Yeah, so there you go.
So certainly not over here. Braden Nash continuing on, not totally impacted at all by that. We'll keep an eye on his lap times next time around. Really, he just needs to be lapping at around the same pace as Timothy Russell. We did see Lockie Brown stop through for a quick splash and dash. That was 37 seconds total, or 38 seconds, let's call it, total pit lane transit time.
Yeah, so Nash's eyes are on Russell. That's his target.
Well, and interestingly, Russell 38 seconds ahead of Braden Nash at this point in time. Lockie Brown going off track as well. Just had a notification come up, so let's have a quick look at that.
It's all happening, isn't it?
Whoa! Wow! Wow!
If that was anywhere else.
Oh, how do you get away with that big a slide at the Nürburgring and not end up painting the fence? Wow. Lucky. Very, very lucky indeed.
Do you think the Nürburgring has their own private fencing company?
Absolutely. I did hear once a driver give out some advice about the Nürburgring, about how to memorise the track. And basically it was to look out for the Armco to know where you are on the corners. Problem is the Armco's all the same colour.
Well, that's what they need. Different fence colours.
It would help. Like if you had like a red, you know, a warning green, orange, red into the braking zone of an upcoming corner or something like that, it might help. Just like there's painting on the road.
Well, the meter boards around here are notoriously hard to see if they exist at all. So.
Yeah, because they're tiny little Yokohama signs.
Yeah. Those who drive the Nürburgring and love it are in the minority. That much is for sure. But it's one of them. We were already talking about it. You know, once did we actually mention it in the pre-show? I think we actually talked about it before the broadcast started. Actually, was that for those guys who drive around here and learn the layout and learn its quirks, it's fantastic because it challenges you. It's exactly the same feeling as doing a good lap at Bathurst. Exactly the same feeling. Because you know that you've taken on one of the biggest and best challenges that exists, and you've nailed it. You know, you've come out the other side dominant, and there is no better feeling for me.
Yeah, and particularly because of the length of the lap here, once you finally get the whole thing together, and we did talk about it pre-show, you know, looking at the track, there's 13 sectors in the track. So 14 sectors, sorry, in the track. So once you finally piece all that together, it's such a satisfying feeling to get it all together once, let alone repeatedly, as the guys have done tonight. Because there's so many complexities to getting the track right.
And then it's one of those circuits that does not feel the same on different platforms as well. So I've driven here. I used to love racing around here in Forza.
Yep.
In I think Forza 4 was the track the game I probably spent the most time on, and the feeling in that and in the different varieties of cars within that game was totally vastly different to what it feels like in iRacing, to what it feels like in Project Cars, you know.
Oh, absolutely.
And don't get me wrong, all of those simulators, sure, they definitely feel different, but you can, if you line them up at Bathurst, you get a reasonable. You look at things and you go, the track feels somewhat similar. You line up Nürburgring, oh no.
That's actually a really good comparison, because Bathurst on Gran Turismo, even running in a GT3 car, is very similar to running on iRacing, albeit using a controller versus the steering wheel and pedals. But I learnt the Nürburgring on Gran Turismo and then came to iRacing and had to learn it all again.
It's the different ways that they mark the track out is one of the biggest ones. You were talking about the writing on the track. It's different in every game because the writing on the track changes, and the laser scanning, it's when it was scanned, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you're spot on.
And put that into a driver's perspective in real life. Every single time they go into the Nürburgring, they have to learn the track again. They get a little bit of a better feel for it because a lot of it is muscle memory, in that they can feel where the car's turning, where the car wants to go, all of those sorts of things. So for them, it's a lot easier, but they still need to learn their visual aids from scratch for a lot of them.
And then you come to nighttime racing and it's just all changed again.
It's nothing like it. Absolutely nothing like it. Le Mans is half the lap time, and it is nothing like it. The old Spa, nothing like it. Even though it is similar-ish in terms of length, a lot of that is flat out. So.
I want to just look at here. We've just seen Matty Bowler's closed right up towards Brett Douglas here, 3 seconds the gap. So he is trying to make up the distance, but about 3.5 minutes behind the next GTE car, which is his teammate Braden Nash. So we'll see how much further up the outright list he gets, but in terms of the GTE class, probably about all she wrote for him for this evening.
And it was mentioned in driver's briefing, actually. This is probably where it would be good to pass off on over towards you, Stuart, that you're going to be catching all these cars and not necessarily lapping them. A lot of it is going to be you're passing them when they're on the same lap as you. So care needs to be placed on, and race awareness needs to be, you need to be thinking about what this means for not only your race. Hang on.
Yes.
Purnell and Spit... That's a phenomenal drive from Spitty.
It's
4 seconds on the last lap he took out of him.
Yeah, so it's down to whether or not Purnell is fuel saving.
He's got to be 100%. He's 8 seconds a lap slower than his fastest lap in the session.
So I was waiting until he got further around the track to jump on board with him for a lap, so that we can have a very quick refresh before we get into the final, what will be the final 2 laps of the race. So I might do that now and just have a listen to see.
He's not.
We did get a notification of an off-track, but I'm 99% sure, because I did scan back through the history, that it's the off-track we already covered. So I don't know if he's had a slide that hasn't been picked up there, but as you said, his last time around was a 8:27.78. Now that's the lap when he did come off track that we've seen. It was lap 11. We're on lap 12 now, so I'm not sure what's happened. He's lost a lot of time in that lap in sectors 13, 12 and 10. It does sound like he's fuel saving.
Okay.
Yeah, he's definitely fuel saving. You can hear it there. So the Audi there would normally be absolutely screaming, and he's just gentle on the throttle. He's going to the first red or second red indicator on the dash, and leaving that top end of the rev range empty. So he's just fuel saving at the moment.
There you go, I learned something about the Audi tonight.
Yeah, you can see that the
Very
early
short
gear
shift there.
change. Yep, yeah. So he's definitely fuel saving. So Spithill now 2.5 seconds behind him. Purnell knows that he's not going to make it to the end. That is Michael Spithill. So Purnell trying to make sure he doesn't have to do an extra stop. Big fuel save though.
Well, for me, all right. So let's say on the first round of pit stops, he got to about 58 minutes. So that's still 4 minutes he needs to make up. Yes, let's take out a pit stop out of there. Yeah, 100%. So there's another minute. So there's 3 minutes he's got to make up plus a lap. That's a lot of time. I mean, if anyone's going to be able to do it, it'll be Chris for sure, 100%. But
I did say I thought they were fueled to the end, so we'll see. It's still that toss of the coin. Oh no!
oh,
Oh no! Oh no!
not in front of Spitty. Well, he'll be in the box this lap, that's for sure now.
That is it. He will definitely be in pit lane. It's gone on there as well. Let me jump back out. It's gone real close in terms of keeping it on the track there as well. So it may be up to Brett Douglas. How much damage there is there to the Audi? And is it enough that he can keep going and gap it?
And have a look in the background here. So Brett Douglas has let Bowler by as well. So he's now holding up Spithill. Spithill's going to back up into Bowler, and Bowler just needs to be aware and let this happen. Wait for the Dodge her, and then jump on it and get past them. And they're just about to come there now.
I was about to say they're almost there, so he doesn't have to wait too long as we go around the right-handers before you get onto the back straight. Purnell will let Spithill pass as well there.
He won't have a choice because he'll just be so slow. That was heavy contact.
Yeah, he's just grabbing onto the draft. So let's have a jump on board again and have a listen.
That's odd for Bowler that he went so far down the dot into her then. Oh no, don't catch them right now, Bowler.
It sounds like the Audi's struggling too much with straight line pace. Obviously getting the draft there as well. That's
I'd say Spitty might have been lifting to let Bowler through, actually. Which I think that's probably, everyone's done the right thing there, and I'd say Spitty's lifted. But then again, it didn't sound like...
Spot on Purnell.
Well...
Now it's on. Well, you know what
all
this
three
does?
of them are going to come in.
You know what this does?
Oh no, he's going again! Oh my god, okay, alright. He is short shifting like crazy.
I was going to say, you know what this does? It means that Brett Douglas is in at the box seat to win this one. Because he will not, if he's not stopping now, he will not stop.
No, he'll save.
So we've got basically a situation where Purnell and Spithill are going to take a splash and dash. Let's jump on board with Spithill at the moment.
Spithill will have to add more fuel because he pit stopped. His most recent stop was much earlier.
There'll be the 2 seconds added on for Purnell for the quick repair, and they're out of pit lane at the same time. So what gap? What gap have we ended up getting here? Just on 9 seconds.
And Lofty's coming through at the same time, which will just hold.
So, equally, if we play this through for championship standings, that means Purnell finishes with 28 points tonight, and that hands the championship back to Braden Nash. So that is huge.
So whether or not Nash is aware of that, that's big. He needs to back things up a little bit now. So everything's just falling nicely into his.
Actually mentally.
Oh! Well, he wasn't backing things up.
Wow. That is massive.
So, is that a crab walking Porsche? I think we're okay.
In this position, just to actually, just doing the mental arithmetic there, we have both drivers on the same number of points.
So Stuart, would you like to enlighten us as to what the countback situation is?
The countback situation is incident points.
You're kidding me.
I'm not.
I'm pretty sure that Nash has had the cleanest season out of the two of them.
I think you might be right. But the count back, I'll quickly double... Oh, wow. As Nash goes off again, does he? He has. He's just had another slide there as well, so he may need to pit. But Matty Bowler is going to go past him, and if Matty... Oh,
No.
there's 3.5
No,
minutes.
Matty's...
Nearly 4
Yeah,
minutes,
Matty's
sorry,
way
so
too
no.
far down, so he's safe.
And there's another big slide. He's not going to have to tow it, is he? He needs to get it back to pit lane. He has to just... He has to just get
Where
that
is
thing
he?
back.
Where is he on track?
As Kendall, you've asked a good question. Basically, he needs to finish in P4 or higher. Yeah, he's just struggling. That car is not in good shape.
I'd say that's a pair of rear tyres they'll need to replace as well. They're overheated.
As it sits at the moment, Kendall, the championship is a draw on points between Nash and Purnell because Purnell is currently running second in the GT3 category. We believe that it then will be a count back on incident points that the drivers have accumulated throughout the season, and we think that Braden has had the cleaner season in terms of incident
So
points.
far.
So far?
So
Yeah,
far.
he needs to be careful here.
Tonight.
Oh, no.
Well, there's another two.
He just needs to make sure that he doesn't have to tow it back. He just needs to cool it and tow it back and drive back to pit lane.
Tyres. Right now, if I'm Braden Nash, I'm taking tyres. I don't...
He's got 3.5 minutes, nearly 4 minute gap over his teammate. He just needs to make it back to pit lane. He needs to slow down and just drive it back to pit lane. Because the next car on track behind him, and he's done it again. And that's even bigger. He just needs to slow down. They need to get the message to him somehow and just say, get it back to pit lane.
Maybe his radio's come unplugged, so the pit board's all the way back around on the main straight.
If you end the race now, you're going to lose it, but you're in with a chance. Because he's still racing. He's going hell for leather at it. He doesn't need to. So we said it last 30 minutes. every time we get into this series, the last 30 minutes is always where it all happens, and it certainly hasn't let us down again tonight.
He's backed off. Oh, I was just about to say he's backed it right off. I think he's got away there. I don't think that's a 2x. I don't think that's a loss of control. So that's actually important. The number of incident points that we have seen come out of Braden tonight might switch things back in Purnell's favour, because that is a lot on that lap.
According to my tracker, which isn't always accurate, so don't take it as gospel, but he's up to 16 tonight, just from basically from most of this lap, and Purnell sits on 2.
So he's on the Dottinger now, so the tyres will cool off. But I'm taking tyres if I'm in his shoes.
Oh, he's got to run pit lane. He's got enough time to do it. A pit lane transit for him is going to take him about 50 seconds with tyres.
Well, he doesn't need fuel. He doesn't need fuel, yeah. So it's, 30 seconds for tyres plus transit time. So 50 to 55 seconds, I think.
And the car behind him is his teammate. So he has no pressure from behind. So if he gets this done at the moment, the championship will be a draw. Of course, the only other question is the person in front of Purnell that can secure him the championship is his teammate. So the team orders come into it. Is Douglas going to give up the win so Purnell can take it on points?
Given what I know of, and correct me if I'm wrong here with insider information here, Stuart, I hand on heart, do not think Chris Purnell would let that happen. I just don't think he'd want it that way. So
I think it'll be a yes. I think it'll be a Schumacher and a Barrichello situation.
Well, that's if he's aware.
Oh, they'll be aware. Braden will be aware as well. I just don't think maybe he's quite got enough information. Like we're sitting here, as you say, it's if they're aware. They may not be aware of the points count. But they're both really competitive between Nash and Purnell. They'll know the points count. They'll know what's going on. Anyway, we've got 11 minutes to go. We're going to get 2 more laps. Lockie Brown halfway around the track now, so he'll get through with around about 7 minutes left. So we're only going to have 2 more laps. 15 total laps, I reckon. 16 total laps.
Did he take tyres?
No, he didn't. Damage repair, and off she goes. So maybe something broken in the back of the car. Didn't crab too much. Who knows?
I mean, it could have. The first impact that we saw out of a lot of them was heavy on the rear corner, so there's potential. And he looks a lot more in control now. Of course, since all of that, we've had the Dottinger her, then we had a pit stop. So if there's ever anywhere that your tyres are going to cool off, it's those two sections. So
this is Ron Polito closing in on Brett Douglas. This is for position outright, but not in class. So Brett will probably just let Ron by as they head
when it's
down
appropriate
onto the back straight.
jump on now. The GTEs, I believe they're all. No, I think the Porsche's naturally aspirated. I think the rest of them have got a turbo or something going. So, correct me if I'm wrong. I'm probably wrong. Car specs are not my strong point.
Just a good little bit of camaraderie there from the two guys. Polito just thanking Douglas with a flash of the headlights. Douglas just responding in kind.
Communication tool, good one at that. So, 22 seconds. The other issue, Spitty's dropped back a long way. When they come out, he was only
he had an off track.
Okay.
About 2 minutes or so ago on this lap, while we were covering.
Whoa!
Oh, Douglas is in.
Well, that solves the argument. He was the last of the leaders.
That ends the argument. So
Having said that,
he must have known he's not going to make it to the end, because he's literally 1 lap away. But he knows that he's going to have to do 2 laps to finish the race.
Well, yeah, it's because of the leader's position. It's nothing to do with his position, because he's not leading the race overall, or the outright standings. And there goes Purnell now. So Nash's championship hopes currently sit with either of Brett Douglas or Michael Spithill, and Spitty he's struggling at the moment.
Let's also not forget that we think Russell has to definitely make another splash and dash stop, which he hasn't done yet.
But Nash is now 155 seconds back of him, so 2.5 minutes.
Yes, I know, that's what I was about to say though, but the problem is that he's now too far behind Tim Russell to make the gap up on the pit stop.
So if you're Jeff Thomas right now, you are in maximum fuel save mode, because if you don't stop again, you're home, and in second place.
So he should make it.
Well, theoretically,
he should make it. Yeah, theoretically he should make it. So, and equally, not wanting to have an off track or any incident himself. So Luke Trahare's jumped into pit lane as well. So those Audis not making the distance. You win this round.
Yes.
Co-commentator. You win this round. Question is, would Purnell have had to pit as well if he hadn't have had the off track?
I don't even think it was a question. I think he would have.
I'd say, yeah.
Was that 7 laps?
Pitted, yeah, absolutely.
So if it was 2 lots of 7 laps.
Yeah, I think looking at where the leader is probably what's prompted them to have to pit, because they knew they were going to have to do 2 more laps to finish the race. Otherwise, they would have finished on lap. They would have finished this lap. Doing what they were doing, they would have needed to finish the lap they're on.
Mm.
And that just isn't going to happen.
Interesting night. It has been, I think,
it's been a great finish.
One of the wildest nights. That is so dark out there now. Actually, conveniently, the Redback Racing team and I were discussing the other night. There's I think it's called VEC, Virtual Endurance Championships, with large prize monies up for grabs.
I saw some messaging about that.
We're entering it. I know that much. So I need to talk to Seb about what the go is with that. Did we get in confirmation? Because I'm really looking forward to it. I'm really looking forward to even just not necessarily from the main car, just being a reserve driver for something like that is a lot of fun. So, because you've got to be at the same level.
So how did you find out about that series?
I've been keeping tabs on it for a long time. I got because I ran IMSA. Whenever you run official series like that, you can use some sort of scraping platform to pull the data of anyone like that and send them a direct message through the iRacing forums. and they messaged me, sent me through all the information. I think Seb was in the same shoes. I think he got to send a message about that, and yeah, passed it on. So, yeah, there you go. All right, ladies and gents, we are in the last, well, let's say 14 minutes or so of the season. There's 6 minutes or 5 minutes now left in terms of in-race time. However, Lockie Brown will get the white flag at the conclusion of the lap. So at the end of this lap, he's about 70 seconds in the lap. So he's not going to make it back past the line with any time left on the clock. But what that will mean is that he will get the white flag, I believe. No, actually, sorry, that's my mistake. He'll get the checkered flag. So they'd be on their final lap of the season. Season number 2 of Australian Endurance E Championships. Now, those of you out there in the chat, we will be taking a little bit of a break around Christmas and whatnot. There'll be some fun things as Stuart is working on some things in the background to keep bringing the racing content to you. If you're interested in that, please do not hesitate to reach out to FGM eCasts on Facebook. Message us in the Twitch chat, not just message us in the Twitch chat as well. We broadcast to Facebook. I think Stuart said we're on YouTube and whatnot as well. And a big shout out to all our broadcast partners that not only help us bring the series to, but also bring the broadcast to as well. So guys from Virtual Motorsport Mentor, I know Razor, I believe, are a broadcast partner, and Aftershock PCs. Big thank you to all of those guys that help us bring the broadcast and the season of Australian Endurance E Championships to you. If you're interested in racing, then I would definitely strongly recommend, because the guys that are racing, yes, the skill level's fantastic and high and heavy and whatnot, but there's also guys running right throughout the field in different sort of classes. That was looking a little bit wide there for half a moment from Lockie Brown.
It was indeed.
So,
yeah, definitely a big thanks, as you're saying, to all of our broadcast partners at FGM eCast. Still got plenty to come on the channel over the coming months, but we do go down to basically 2 nights a week streaming from here on in, as we take a little bit of break. It's been an intense 7 months for us, streaming basically 5 to 6 nights a week over that time, as Braden Nash has jumped into pit lane. Well, this is interesting.
It's fine. It's not going to affect anything. That car is bent again. Take tyres. Please take tyres.
Yeah, he's done a rear wing there as well, so you're not wrong.
It's crabbing. It's crabbing just slightly in the rear.
And off he goes, no tyres. So, interesting. Matty Broom.
I'll leave a white flag in the air.
Having an issue, yeah. This is definitely the last lap. So, Purnell's going to have to do another full lap, which of course exposes him. He'll get this lap done and have to do one more.
But he's got 10 seconds. Now, given that it is the Nürburgring, sure, but 10 seconds can still evaporate around here, and he has not had the most Chris Purnell of nights, shall we say.
It's been pretty smooth up until just that last little bit that we saw, inside that last half hour. So
I think we've honestly, to be perfectly honest with you, there's been not a lot of Chris Purnell popping up on the timing monitor, or sorry, the events monitor. So I think the few times that we've actually tuned into him, we have thrown in the commentator's curse. I just saw one of the Politos actually just box.
Yeah, Ron Polito had an issue there. He's jumped out of the race. Not completely, he's just getting a tow.
The race will be over before he gets back to pit lane, though. So,
and again, another couple of people that we need to thank is the team Polito. There's Rez, Ron, and Phil, who've all taken up sim racing and supported the series since we very first started. So their entire support crew generally jumps into the chat and says hello and follows.
Can I just point something out, Stuart?
Of course.
Provided Rez finishes his last lap, he will beat Ron. He will be the champion Polito in the last round of the season.
And there's definitely got to be some bragging rights there. I know there's plenty of unique nicknames getting around for the Polito family. So, yeah, I can't remember what Rez's is, but I certainly know Foot Fetish Phil gets a run every now and again. So we'll keep an eye on their progress. They'll be back next season, hopefully bigger and stronger yet again. They've all got themselves set up, as we understand it, with new sim equipment. Of course, hearing there that Phil Polito is in virtual reality as well, so he's got a VR headset. Takes a little bit of getting used to. It's Lockie Brown now, 3/4 of the way through the final lap of the final race of the final season for 2020 for the Australian Endurance E Championship. And Phil just confirming there he's definitely going to be running next season. That's great to hear. We love having you Polito brothers involved. So good to see.
I was just about to say, I was hoping he'd have some feet stamps either side on the rear bumper of his car.
Exactly right. We hope so. And yeah, we've got Lockie Brown here taking us through the final stages. Tim Russell looking like he's going to get through without that second stop, so he's done well on the fuel. And Jeff Thomas going to take out basically a unique podium for us this year. There is no NSR cars looking like they're going to finish on the podium for the first time this entire season.
I tell you what, Tim Russell's done really well in that second stint to stretch it to 8 laps. That's something that's just quietly crept up on us and happened in the background.
Yeah, I'm going to be interested to ask a couple of drivers about the fuel, because it just doesn't seem like there's any consistent number.
Oh, Lockie!
Well, I think he's just having a little swerve.
I think he is as well.
And
I think that was for play.
Ron Polito is out on track, and Rez is off track, and Spit Hill's had an accident as well. So it's been an interesting finish, but we have got Lockie Brown. Congratulations on taking your first win here in the final round of FGM eCast, presenting the Australian Endurance E-Championship Season 2.
So I was about to ask, is he going to light him up?
And he's going to do it, but got to be careful because there's... oh no, there shouldn't be anyone coming around because of how long the track is. So Tim Russell still a good solid 50 seconds behind at this stage. Tomo behind him there as well. So we're going to have to bring back to you the...
I tell you what,
points count.
Nash is so far behind Thomas.
Yeah, it's 3 minutes.
It's not even capable, especially with Tomo getting to the back end of the Donninger Hearse. So he's about finished.
As Timothy Russell brings it through, he's going to take second place. Of course, he took third place at Bathurst, so an improvement there. I'm looking forward to seeing how he goes in Season 1 2021. And a cracking drive there from him. Well done, Tim Russell, on that. And a good entry again into the season, joining us for the first time this year. He hopefully is going to light those up as well. No post-race weigh-in for us, of course, so no need to keep them in good condition. Jeff Thomas just crossing the line there as well. Nash will be
the next one on. So where do we finish on points? If Nash finishes in 4th spot and Purnell wins, Purnell wins.
I feel like there may be a challenge at the end of this race, so I will hold off on saying who wins and who doesn't win. There's no doubt that Nash has won the GTE category and that Purnell has won the GT3 class.
Can we just keep our eyes on Purnell, because Douglas isn't all that distant on him at this point in time. So there is. It's look. Having said that, I've been monitoring the gap. It is still 10 seconds. So, but on the track map, it looked like it closed down, but that's just because they're going through the slower, twistier sections of the track at the moment.
So yeah, we'll see what happens as a consequence of that. But certainly Nash and Purnell are the winners of each class, GTE, GT3 respectively. In terms of the team championship, I believe Nash and Bowler will be, and the NSR team will be the team champions, with Luke Traher finishing in, where was he, 3rd in the GT3 class, but Nash...
No, he's 4th. He'd be 4th.
Oh, sorry, 4th. My apologies, you're correct. But of course, we've got 4th and 5th for Nash and Bowler, so maybe that not totally over either. So we're just going to have to do the maths on the numbers and see where we ended up. that'll be my job in the wee small ones of tomorrow morning to calculate that out. And the rules not too clear in one aspect, which is where I suspect the challenge may come from. So we'll see if that comes through or not. And that may impact on the outcome of the season. But overall, not to take away from it, another fantastic season for us at the Australian Endurance E Championship. And it looks like it's going to be really close at the end, which is good to see. And definitely enjoyed bringing this one to everyone every fortnight throughout the interesting year that 2020 has become.
And what a year! I think it's been such a good year for sim racing. When you think about it, the one thing that the pandemic has done is put a lot towards esports, and I don't think you can say that any esport in particular has benefited as much as sim racing. So.
No, I agree completely. So, you only have to look at how many people are involved in the communities around to get a real understanding of how much it has grown. So, I'll just wait here for Purnell, Douglas and Spithill to finish as the top 3 drivers in our GT3 category before we do grab all the drivers for a bit of a chat and a bit of a laugh at the end of the season.
Moment of the season, Stuart. What's it got to be?
Oh, wow. I'm not going to lie. I think that my moment of the season has to be actually the conclusion of the first 2 rounds where we saw NSR 1, 2, 3 back to back. Just total domination from round 1. And, it's I'm not sure when we would see that again necessarily within the series that we're running.
I think it was especially important to point out that they did that was round 2 was Le Mans from memory. The day of Le Mans was the balance of power update as well, and it affected the Porsche quite heavily. So
yeah, you're right.
For them to not only dominate that round, but to dominate that round in such a convincing manner when everyone around them was still trying to come to terms. Okay, so was Le Mans the oh no! Oh no! Don't count anything out yet. That was Purnell on the wall. He's just about to pull into the Doddinger her. So it's not over until the fat lady sings, and she is definitely warming up.
Just tickling the ivories. It's only going to get it down the straight through the last few corners, and then it would be done. But definitely it was. We started out at Mid-Ohio and then we ended up in Road America. So, but you're right, the balance of power update changed into Road America, and it was still dominant.
I was sure it wasn't Road America. I was sure it was Le Mans because I remember having the conversation after Le Mans about the changes to the cars.
And the pace update as well.
Yeah. Because that was the changeover of season points, which is when they were introducing the Corvette. There you go. So Purnell gets it done, albeit with a scare on the final sector of the final lap.
And so he is the GT3 champion for Season 2 2020. So congratulations to him and the Virtual Motorsport Mentor team. Got Brett Douglas coming across the line as well. So he had an interrupted Season 2, but has had a couple of strong results. And Michael Spithill's going to bring it across the line, representing the Redback race team with a strong 3rd position as well. So a solid 1, 2, 3 there for deserving drivers in the GT3 category.
What a night. A night filled with drama, I think is what you can say. I think it's about the only way to describe things. Nothing there looked certain at all until they crossed the line.
No, absolutely right. So, as I said, a good finish overall from the drivers. Another great season for us, and we're just waiting for them to jump in. Braden Nash currently sitting in the green room. Let's bring him in to the broadcast. Braden, talk to us.
Yeah, yeah, that was a lot of fun. Tried to see how many times I could crash in one lap. That was enjoyable.
Were you fully aware of where you were situated on track? Because we were talking about it during the broadcast. You're obviously pushing really hard to get the car back to pit lane to get it repaired. But you're about 4 minutes up the road from Matty. Did he jump on the radio and give you a little bit of information, or?
Yeah, no, I saw the gap. I was trying to get it back nicely, but I don't know. I crashed it and it was broken, and it didn't want to go in a straight line. So that was a very hard task to get it back. But yeah, bit of fun.
Was that Lofty just crossing the line? Sorry, just on the screen there, Stuart?
I didn't see, to be honest, because I've got the Discord up in front of me here, just dragging people in and out. It could well have been.
There was a Porsche sideways crossing the line there to finish the lap.
As we're living in darkness. But obviously, Braden, congratulations on taking out the GT3 championship for yourself. We don't know the outcome of the team championships yet, or even including the overall championship, but certainly the GT3 secured last week by yourself for NSR.
Yeah, thanks, mate.
Really consistent performance. In fact, we're just remarking back at the first 1, 2, 3 that we saw, in fact, over a couple of weeks from you guys as one of the moments of the season. A really, really strong performance. You guys know how to get a lot of straight line speed out of those Porsches. You managed to unlock it, and that definitely played into your advantage over the season.
Yeah, it sure did. We lost Brocky halfway through. He had other commitments, so we were stuck for setups because he's our setup guy. So we ran a Spa setup for this race, and it was awful.
We'll have to get some training from him as well. But no, look, you guys drove a really, really strong season, and looking forward to Season 1 2021 when we get into it, and welcoming NSR back into the fold.
Yeah, thanks, mate.
Tim, it wouldn't be fair for Scotty to interview you, so I will do the honours and then I'll let Scotty take over, mate. A really strong performance, obviously finishing third at Bathurst, the second here. Looking forward to seeing what you can do in Season 1 2021 when you run the full year.
Yeah, thanks, man. No, I've ran the full year, or the full season this season. Haven't missed a race yet, so just need to get more consistent and try and get up there with the likes of Braden and that. So no, I'm pretty happy where I finished and how the end of the season sort of finished off.
Well, my apologies. I must have missed that there. I thought you were only running sort of the last 5 or 6 rounds. So, but yeah, definitely finishing strongly in the Porsche, and a really, really strong result here tonight as well. Just nice and consistent, and bring home second place.
Yeah, for sure. I didn't have any high hopes this week. I chucked in absolute bugger all practice, just with work commitments and stuff, and finishing late nights and whatever. So yeah, no, I just sort of try to keep it on the black stuff and out of the walls, and yeah, it sort of paid off.
No, definitely so, and around here, that's what you need to do. We were talking about it at the top of the broadcast, that the key to tonight really was just staying out of trouble and being as consistent as you can be, not having to do additional stops and what have you, and you certainly delivered on that, so congratulations on a good result.
Yeah, thanks, man.
So, Scotty, over to you, mate. We've missed out on getting our first place Lockie Brown in here, so I'll let you take over and run through with the GT3 drivers.
Yep, no worries. So obviously start things off, Chris. Not an easy track, even though you've been, pretty consistent and pretty consistently quick here tonight. Consistency is not the word I think I'd use right throughout the field. I think a lot of the drivers had a handful tonight, really just trying to keep the car on track, let alone be fast.
Yeah, it was eventful. We'll call it eventful. So, yeah, I actually developed a cramp in my leg 45 minutes in. So I was nursing that as well as a very twitchy car. So we probably didn't do enough practice in the night to know how the car developed as the track rubbered up and it cooled off. So we went the wrong way with it. But yeah, overall pretty happy with the result. That Ferrari of Spit Hills was on rails. So yeah, that was pretty cool to have that little battle with him. Yeah, a few mistakes, but yeah, overall happy.
Were you aware of the championship implications here tonight, given that Nash and Bowler weren't running as well as they normally do?
I did notice that Nash was a little bit further down the order than normal. I didn't really know how far behind or where that played me into anything, so I just knew that if I did the best I could, it'd give me the best shot possible at it.
Let's change the topic of conversation now to fuel and fuel conservation. Both, we'll start with Chris. You come in earlier. Yours was due to damage though, so yours factored out not too bad. You were within the window, so everything was right as rain when you come in to get that car repaired. But were you trying to go one stop, or was it always two stops for you?
We were two stopping at the start. As the race went on and we realised how on edge the car was, we had to back it down a little bit to just not crash would be the best way of putting it. So then all of a sudden the fuel started coming back to us, so we thought maybe we had a chance that way to sort of play it longer. So there was a little bit of fuel saving going on in the middle of the first to the second stint, but just with such a long lap and not knowing where the GTE leader was going to be and where we were going to cross the line, it was a little bit too hard to tell.
Okay, and on to you, Brett. I mean, pretty much the same question, mate. It's difficult to predict exactly like Chris said, but you just had to do the best you possibly could. What was your mindset in terms of fuel?
Oh, look, same as Chris's. We went into it thinking, okay, we'll have to do a splash at the end. Midway through, I mean, the car was a hell of a lot twitchier than what we planned. As Chris said, we went the wrong way with setup. So we had to back it down. We nearly probably got within a few litres of being able to make it. But look, all credit to Mick Spittle. Seriously, I don't know what that Ferrari's on, but that thing was quick, and Mick just hung with us the whole time, and he pushed us. So we really didn't have the time to fuel save. That was the bottom line, and he just pushed us to the absolute limit. So well done, Mick. It was a good race, mate.
Well, perfect little segue, but again, Stuart, I'll leave you in charge of this one.
No, absolutely. I mean, I think that the boys are spot on. We were keen at the start of the race to look at a VMM 981 versus Redback race team situation, and just didn't play out quite that way with Seb coming unstuck a little bit early in the evening with a couple of issues with his graphics card there and not able to see what was going on. It was great to see at the start of the race 2 and 2 abreast running, and Michael, you certainly had a fantastic run through the evening, albeit with a couple of little bits and pieces not playing quite your way.
Yeah, I got to say, Chris, you guys made that seriously fun and just pushed that the whole way. That Ferrari was on its edge. I was mostly doing a lot of racing laps, but yeah, it was just down to a few mistakes that really cost me. I had a few half spins in like 3 or 4 laps of themselves, so it really cost me.
But still a really strong performance. That Ferrari, if it hadn't been for those spins, do you think you would have been able to make it on fuel? We were looking at the fuel numbers as well.
Oh, no, I was definitely 2 stopping it. There was no way I was going to do it in 1 stop with that thing.
So my other question for all of you guys in the GT3s was tyre wear ever a factor? Because I think we were both sort of sitting here saying to Braden Ash when he won off 5-6 times over the course of 2 or 3 sectors that, hey, maybe there's a case here for taking tyres. Was that in anyone's mindset at all tonight?
Never even considered it, entertained it, or thought about it.
Only when I blew him up at the end.
I came in with Purnell for that last stop, and I looked at my tyres, and they were at 52% on the front, and they were a little bit sketchy for the last few laps.
That would be why you dropped as far back, yeah, because I was sitting there thinking you dropped a fair way off, but I wasn't able to put it down to anything.
Yeah.
So
I think ours was at like 75 in the last stop, so ours was pretty good on tyres. But yeah, it was just we had to back it down. It was too knife edge.
You got that Audi. I had good fun battling you though, Chris. That was fun. Those first few laps.
Yeah, man, it was awesome.
Well, we'll have to wait till the morning to see what the outcome of the points situation is, because the team championship is relatively close from my early maths, and as is the outcome for the big number one. So we will get that out as much as we can, or as early as we can, I should say, tomorrow. And obviously, massive thanks to all of you guys for everything you put in every fortnight into participating in the series and the passion you bring to it. It makes our jobs a lot easier to have the contest to talk about, and certainly didn't let us down tonight, so thank you very much.
So I just want to say a big thanks to you, Stuart, you, Scott, for stepping in, and all of you guys at FGM and everyone else that competed in this. It's made this series really fun, and look forward to coming back next year.
And you'll be welcome, no problems at all. All right, Scotty, so as we normally do, mate, we won't do anything different this evening. We've already done season moment for the race this evening.
actually, let's back it up. I think we've got a really good opportunity here to actually put this to the drivers. I mean, Chris, Brett's obviously not been here for as many rounds, but we've got Chris, Spitty, and Tim here. Let's start with you, Chris. What would you be your moment of the season?
For probably from a team perspective, probably the 1, 2, 3 at Mid-Ohio at the start of the season was really good. But just racing week in, week out. There's been great races in just about every track we've been to, so it's been really enjoyable the whole season. And the battles have been getting closer and closer. And the battle with Seb at Sebring was really good. So I've enjoyed the whole season.
Spitty?
I'm probably going to say similar to Purnell, just the racing. Most of the racing this season has just been so intense and so good in the GT3. Every round, we're pretty much pushing each other. Like, with tonight, I enjoyed those first 2 or 3 laps of the Nords here, just pushing and following Chris and just trying to see what would happen out of it.
And finally, Timothy, your moment of the season.
I'm going to say last week, battling with Matt and Braden. That was pretty good, and that was all for the championship, for second and third, and but I mean overall the whole season I've enjoyed the whole lot. The guys have been really good with the racing, and it's been pretty clean. And the way the leagues run, it's a top notch thing. So I'll definitely be coming back.
Well, I think that sums it up, Stuart. When all the drivers are having as much fun as that, I think it's pretty clear cut to everyone right through that we've had a phenomenal season. And when moments of the season aren't even going 3 wide at the back end of the Camel Straight, all the drivers have got something to pull away from this, and that's what you want from a good season. It's clearly near and dear to our drivers.
Do you know what, as well, it pushes me towards, which is that in between seasons, we are going to run an MX5 fixed setup race with all of these crazy blokes in probably Oran Park or somewhere silly like that, just to see when it doesn't really matter how hard they go against one another, because there's always championship points and things to contend in the fortnightly broadcast, but I just love to see them go out and out, hammer and tong, with effectively no consequence, just to see what happened. But we've been lucky enough to have some really good racing throughout the year, and we've got massive plans for next season for this race. So I'm really excited. Our team's been working pretty hard behind the scenes to get things up and running for that. I'm pretty excited to announce that to all the drivers at some stage over the coming couple of weeks as well. So it's good to see so many drivers keen to come back, because that'll certainly help us make success of what we've got planned for next year.
Well, any final statements at all this evening, Stuart? I think everything was out on the racetrack tonight. We had good driving, we had mistakes, we had everything that you could really want. So
No, obviously, from our perspective, a big thank you to Chris for coming on board. He's been with us for 2 seasons now, virtual motorsport mentor. So a big thank you to you, mate, for supporting, and Brett as well behind the scenes. Actually, both of those guys have given us a lot of advice in the early seasons about how to set things up, and you know what the drivers like and don't like, and those sorts of things. So that's helped us make a success of things this year. Obviously to you, Scotty, for your coming on board and helping out with the commentary. It certainly makes a big difference having someone to bounce off, and we don't always agree on points of view, which I agree with you is absolutely crucial to good commentary, and obviously to all the drivers for coming out and giving us a really good show. Aftershock for jumping on board as well, and being one of our partners for our channel. That's helped us get everything up and running. And as I said, next season, next year, we've got plenty to come, which was always the plan with the channel and what we're doing.
Yeah, look, it's obviously I have a lot of fun here with you, Stuart. I wouldn't be doing it if I didn't have fun. I'd say it that much.
No, and we appreciate it. Jamie, thanks very much for the stars, mate. Appreciate your support. We'll see you on track next year. Obviously, this isn't the end for our channel, just the end of our series that we run, the Endurance E Championship. We've got plenty coming up next year, as we mentioned, but we do still have the ANSCAR Championship, brought to you by Activity Hub Bali on every... actually, no, that has concluded. My apologies. I'm talking about the Activity Hub Bali V8 Supercar Oval Series every Sunday night, still on the channel, and of course the Oz Pro-Am Sim Series, or Oz Pass as it is lovingly now known, on every Tuesday night that we'll be bringing throughout the festive season. I can't believe I'm saying that on the 5th of November, but throughout now until basically February next year, there or thereabouts, when AEE will return for Season 1 2021, believe it or not. And that is about it. So thank you everyone for joining us. Scotty, everyone in the broadcast booth at the moment, thank you very much. And we will see you for AEE again next year. Until then, if you're interested in getting involved, jump onto our Facebook page, and we'll let you into the Discord so you can keep up to date. And otherwise, we really appreciate you supporting the channel over the last 7 or 8 months for these race series. And we will see you again on Sunday evening for the next installment of the Activity Hub Bali V8 Supercar Oval Track Series. Thank you very much for watching.